Michael, what's up, bud?
Hey, how's it going, Joe?
Hey, man. So for those of you who are tuning in for like the first time, my name's Joe. This is Just About Anything, where I talk about just about anything with just about anyone, and preferably my friends, like this gentleman here, Mr. Michael Kuhlman. You care about saying your last name?
Yeah, no,
okay.
that's cool. That's cool.
I asked that before.
Yeah.
But what's up, man? This is probably gonna be a weird one. And the reason I say that is because the last three that I've done have been very like gaming, streaming, and this is not going to be that.
Okay.
Or at least I don't think it will. It may end up flowing there, but
I'm into all that, so it couldn't encroach on it. Yeah.
I just think in terms of the people that I know in real life, you are one of the few people that I can have genuine conversations about like politics and like very serious issues, and things don't get heated. Like, it is just a conversation and ideas that are bouncing around. So that's so rare that I was like, yay! Like, I finally get to do this with Michael.
Yeah.
I think actually before I even shot my first one of these, I remember asking you and another guy.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, I want to do this.
Yeah.
And it took way too long. So
sure. I'm just glad we're here doing it.
Me too.
Yeah.
So I have a couple of things. I guess I want to talk about the thing that we were talking about before in text.
Yeah.
You actually sent me a link to an article about like how, I guess, what should be expected from like an elected like official.
Sure.
Whether or not they serve their own interest or the people that elect them, and whether that's good or bad. I'm actually curious as to where you stand or think on
that article, I just looked up something interesting, and so I'm in business school right now. I'm getting an MBA. So something they talk about, and they said this extends to politics as well, is principal agency theory.
Okay.
So principal agency theory is those that are elected, or like if you have a lawyer or something and they're representing you,
right?
How much do their interests versus the client that they have, do those conflict in any way? And so when you're electing a politician, are they out for themselves or are they out for their constituents? And there's a lot of issues that can occur with that. That's kind of what the article covered.
I wonder, that's such a weird position to be in, like where your job is to help this person. Or these people.
Yeah.
But like, I guess that would fall into like a defendant or like an attorney. Like that's a good example.
Because like attorney-client privilege is one of those. Yeah.
There's got to be. I guess most attorneys are like, hey, it's my job to defend this person, regardless of whether or not I think they're guilty or not. Like,
well, in fact, they don't even want to know if they're guilty or not.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, many lawyers will say. Did you ever watch a couple of these like lawyer shows? Like there was one that was called The Night Of.
No,
it's an HBO one. So a kid gets arrested for murder, and he kind of like wakes up, and he has like no idea. He wakes up in the middle of a woman's apartment. He went out partying or whatever, and then he like gets drunk or he falls asleep, and he just doesn't remember. He wakes up, and this girl's dead upstairs, and he gets arrested for it. And so he's in prison trying to get a lawyer, and the lawyer comes by, and he starts to say, look, I was this, and like, the lawyer goes, no, don't tell me. I don't want to know anything. Yeah. And, it's in your best interest to not tell if they're guilty or not. So that gets into weird territory of, I want the best for you, the principal agency theory, so I'm representing you.
I wonder if many lawyers would just drop a case if they got to the point where they did know that they're
I think you're ethically obligated to.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
If you know for a fact that this person's guilty, you're ethically obligated to.
And the way you approach it is you say you excuse yourself. You like send a letter to the judge, and you just say, for undisclosed reasons, I'd like to remove myself from this case.
That sucks.
If you're in the middle of a trial, if it's before that or whatever.
That would suck for, I guess, the person, because like I feel like at that point everyone on the jury would be like, all right, well, this guy just left,
right?
There's got to be a reason as to why he did.
Yeah.
But I guess in terms of like politics, I'm trying to think of an example of where that a situation of no one's fault comes up where you have to decide between your interests and like the public's interests.
Sure. So like a good example is just like the president gets elected. I mean, everybody, the whole country essentially voted for that person, but they have to make decisions based on wars, based on information that the military has that, so why did Bush decide to go, Bush 41?
41, yeah.
Or, no, not 41, the son, Bush, W.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's 44 or 43.
What was the other Bush?
Because Trump is 45, Obama's 44, so he's 43, but nobody calls him Bush 43.
Yeah.
Do they?
I've never heard it.
You know who I'm talking about.
But I know who you're talking about.
W.
Yeah.
So why did he decide to go to war? And I mean, he was elected by the people to represent us, but and he went to war. And at the time, it wasn't like an unpopular decision. I mean, you remember,
right?
Remember
everybody
that.
was like, "Yep, let's gung ho." Like everybody was, especially like after like 9/11 and everything. Like people were like super on board.
Yeah,
so,
we felt like we had to, or whatever. And so there was a lot of support during that. But as we're finding out, was it based on the right decisions? Was he making the right choice based on the agents that that W is representing, which is all of us?
I mean, I would imagine that at that point, yes. Like because like if
you want to think so,
you would think so. Like because like if the public outcry is, it's not in probably the best mindset of, but more so of retaliation. But regardless of their motive, the public outcry was to go to war, or was to retaliate.
But they didn't vote to get him in to do that. So,
but they, I think what would probably benefit people would be to vote on actions like that.
Okay.
I think it would slow down the process like drastically. So like say for instance like a 9/11 situation happens. Like instead of just the president agreeing like, hey, all right, we're going to war, or like we're deploying these troops. Like that is just a thing that we're doing, and it's my call to make. And I guess even in those situations, maybe that should be fine. But at more drastic decisions, I think it would make sense for there to be like I don't know how you would even do that. Like the logistics behind that would be insane. But like,
I don't think you should.
You don't think you should?
Oh no.
Why?
No, you can't have the public voting on. That's why we have representative democracy.
Yeah, but what happens when
the public's not informed, right? I mean, they don't have the military information. They don't have.
I guess that's fair. That's fair. That's a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah.
You know how like the electoral colleges work.
Sure. Yes. Yeah.
So like that is a system I think that is an example of where if the representatives choose to just not do what the public wants, there's no repercussion whatsoever.
Yeah.
So like systems like that, I feel like make like they snowball into situations like, or I keep saying, but in the things where now you have this person that you elected them, but they're making decisions that you wouldn't, or that they even said they wouldn't. Like, and there's no repercussion whatsoever. So it's like, how does the public have any control over that if the person that they elected can just do a 180? Like it's
trust,
I guess.
I mean, you're voting on a party, and you want to hope that Trump is a very weird Republican, but people voted for him thinking that he would represent the what Republicans generally think, and he's no. I mean, it's sometimes yes, sometimes no.
I think he's a really good, and I hope that like in the future we look back at this moment and realize what happened, which is probably the most interesting case study I've ever seen in my entire life. Where this dude, because I don't know if you remember before, like he was even.
I love thinking about this. I love it. Yeah.
Before he was even thinking about like running, he wasn't a Republican.
No.
So like
that's very clear.
It's like he was. So like this dude just wanted to be president. That's it. There was no like, I have these values and I'm doing this. Even if you look back in like his whole timeline,
and he never told a story of I have a deep desire at this. It was at that moment I realized I wanted to be president.
It was at the moment that they roasted him like in that dinner. That he wanted. But it's such an interesting thing where you had a dude who. He didn't give a shit about like the politics in general. He
still doesn't know. I mean, clearly,
like he flounders. I think in his floundering, he makes bad calls and good calls. Mm-hmm. But like,
did you see that Joe Rogan thing where he was talking to oh my god, Penn and Teller?
Yeah.
So Penn Jillette.
Yes.
did you hear?
I have not seen that.
Oh,
was it a podcast?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I'm missing like at least 4.
So basically, the gist of it is Penn says he was on The Apprentice, and he kind of just says the way Trump was is it was like 3 hours of just babbling, talking about Trump would read something ridiculous like that. Just a random person on the internet wrote a blog saying, like, criticizing what Trump did in a deal, and Trump would stick on that and say, isn't that wrong? Isn't that wrong? Isn't that wrong? And it's like, it's a person on the internet. You got to let this go. Like, and it's just that type of behavior. And
it's funny that was a thing from way back then, because you can see that now, like on his Twitter feed. That's wild.
Yeah. Yeah.
What a what an interesting guy. Like,
very interesting. Yeah.
I
never met him. Never met him.
I've never met him either.
But I have met Obama. That's the reason I said it. Is that I've met Obama and I've met Bush. I just very briefly. And so
did you? Yeah. What were your opinions of them? I guess it was very brief. Obviously, like what kind of vibe do you think they?
Yeah. So
compare
that's a cool question.
What you see from Trump, like, I guess, if that makes any sense.
Sure. Well, surprisingly, both of those guys. I mean, just Bush and Obama. When you first meet them, it's like I'm just like at the time, my dad was working at the White House. Yeah. And so I was just like a kid when I was meeting Bush. I'm 26 now, so I was, like 13 or whatever, or before. I guess it was before that. It was 8 years Obama, and so whatever. But I was young, and then I met Obama. The thing about meeting Bush is that Bush was like super personable, and it's almost like very cool. Like he's just. You could see why he got elected. That was the first thought I had was, oh, I see why you got elected, because you're just like a great, like, just personal. Yeah.
He seemed. It was funny too, because everyone that actually has met him, like in person, always had something similar to that. That I've heard. Obviously, like,
he's great.
He's
simply put.
But I don't know if you remember, like, when he would do public speeches. Yeah. People gave him shit for it, because it was just like, oh, this guy sounds like an idiot. I'm like, well, he went to like a insanely like
Yale or something, right?
I think it was like Yale or Harvard.
Yeah,
or something.
But then they say his dad got him in. And
sure. Say for whatever reason he got him in, like, in an illegitimate way. Sure. You still were there. Yeah. So like some of that culture, some of that like mindset has to rub off.
I don't think he's dumb. I mean, I don't think he's as dumb as people said on when you see him flub a speech or whatever. I think he's just. There's a lot going on, and he's nervous or whatever. I didn't think he was a great president. Just to be clear, I was too young to vote for him. Yeah, I wouldn't have.
Yeah, that's also fair.
Yeah, Whereas I liked Obama. I mean,
what's wild is I didn't really think much about politics up until like maybe 2 years ago. Like I think up until then, I just kind of was like, whatever. This shit's rigged. Like, I was in that mindset of just like, well, my opinion doesn't matter. Like, fuck it all.
Yeah,
like, But I think
I've always loved civics. I like the idea of it, and I like thinking about it. So it's interesting that you.
It's weird that like I think a lot of that stuff has just become extremely polarizing now. Sure. And because of that,
it's no good right now. It's no good right now. It
sucks, man.
Yeah.
But that's part of the reason why I like having these conversations, because I think, and I'm probably going to say something that like. You may disagree with. I think a lot of people may disagree with.
Yeah.
But I don't know how we. Well, let me. Sure. I didn't really get into politics like when I was younger up until very recently, and now that I am, there's so much that I don't know. That like. That's why I like having these. Yeah, that's part of it. Is like I get to
let's
learn
figure
more.
some stuff out. Like,
for instance,
because I know quite a lot about politics, and it's not. It's just because I'm interested, and because to me, it's like not. It's not like, when you like hate a class and you take a class and you're like, oh, this is so annoying. It's such a drag. But then there's classes you like, and you're just like reading through it, and you're just, dude, this doesn't feel like work to me. This just feels like I'm learning about. I want to learn about the next thing. All right, let's learn about what communism is about. Let's learn about what socialists really think, or And so that's what I did, and.
I've dabbled. I would like maybe you can, maybe you can't. You're aware of like Jordan Peterson?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I like him.
I like him too. He seems to say stuff that makes sense to me. But
I think he's a powerful speaker.
Yeah, he's very he has a way with like making simplistic things click.
He talks
but
about very
not just
deep
on
things.
not on like just a logical thing,
Sure.
but more like he takes logical thoughts and makes them emotional, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Which is
There's
great.
there's another motivational speaker you got to listen to, Les Brown.
Why does that sound so familiar?
You like him?
I think
Cameo likes him.
Yeah, he's a lot more into it than I am.
Yeah,
Like,
that guy does that for me, where he just pulls like, you're like, oh man, you just want to do something. But
Les Brown. Okay. But back to what I was saying. So I think you remember all the controversy that came up with him and all that stuff. So I guess to get very fine tuned, what do you think about and this may be taken off course, and if you want to go back, we can.
Hey, let's go everywhere.
What do you think about like that whole situation with like the whole like trans like thing where he didn't want to use like verbiage and he thought it was an infringement on like speech? Like, is that? I know you said you like the guy, but is that like a thought process that you think makes sense?
Yeah.
Or do you think he was too harsh with not conforming? If that makes any sense.
Yeah. Okay, we'll start there. Do I think he was too harsh for not conforming? No. No. I think he's taken a reasonable approach to it, and I think you can disagree with him, and you can. I mean, he's like an old white dude from Canada with the professor. Yeah. So I mean, but the fact that he's open to talking about this, like I've heard a lot of what he has to say. So like I don't know what you've heard. I don't know what I've heard. So a lot,
a decent chunk.
And I've thought about this a lot. I think. Trans issue, it's like a new territory, it's a new thing that I remember growing up in Maryland, which is a very like liberal like democratic state, and people were anti-gay marriage, or at least against it, that I was like friends with, like parents' friends and stuff like that, and I used to talk to them about it because I was like a 16 17-year-old kid going, and this is so 16 17 this is 10 years ago. We were talking about gay rights and gay marriage. Nobody talks about it. Everybody's, even the Republicans are pro-gay marriage now. Like it's become a non-thing. Like, oh, leave them alone. You can do whatever you want. This is America. You can, if you want to do whatever, you can do whatever. We just haven't gotten there with trans issues yet. Yeah. And I think there has to be some understanding from, if you are trans or from the left, that, hey, I mean, there's old people are not gonna just jump on board and everything's gonna go. They're going to be worried about stuff. And some of the stuff they have to say that Jordan Peterson brings up is legitimate, where his whole thing that he got to at the end was, this is not about a trans issue. Yeah. This is about people. This is a free speech issue. Right. Which is much deeper. And that's what I like, that he took it and said, I haven't said one thing or the other about trans. He's like, I've got my own thoughts, but those don't matter about this. It's about free speech. And I think free speech is being infringed upon. And I think that's the real issue. And I think in that instant, I think he's right there, that we do have an issue in American and I guess Canadian culture of the left being a little bit too. You guys got to remember, and I say this as a person who tends to vote Democrat. I mean, I vote Democrat every election that I've voted in. I vote Democrat. Yeah. Yes.
I think.
And
I think this will be. I've only voted twice.
Okay.
One was for Obama, and the second, well,
you voted Obama second time?
Yes. Yeah. It was just those two.
I think me too. Yeah.
And then I think this will be my third election coming up where
you voted Hillary?
I did not vote Hillary.
Okay.
I didn't vote during that election.
Okay. I almost went Gary Johnson, but then I saw it, and I was like, just because I didn't like Clinton, but I just thought,
my issue was during that time I had moved from South Carolina to here, and hadn't taken care of any of that stuff. So I was just like, and thinking back on it now, I don't know if I would have voted Hillary.
Sure.
I don't know.
But you said you weren't that into it until 2 years ago.
Right.
Do you think you got into it because of 2016?
I think that definitely was a spark to it, like, for sure. Like, I think that, and I think that's the same thing for a lot of other people.
Yeah.
I think 2016 was a year where like people were just like kind of just cruising on cruise control, and then something big happened where they're like, oh, I should probably pay attention to what's going on over here.
Yeah.
But I think this year will probably be the next time or 2020 will be the next year that I actually vote. as of right now, I am leaning towards a Democratic candidate.
We could talk about who Andrew Yang for me. I like it. Yeah,
same guy.
Yang Gang.
Yang, dude. Like he's saying a lot of stuff that I like.
I don't think I win, but I love him.
He seems like a good guy.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I actually,
were you done talking about the trans and the Jordan Peterson?
Not really. Yeah, I tend to. You're gonna help me. Like,
I'm gonna reel you in.
Yeah, that's fine. But so like my thing with that is I wish that people, I guess, trans people that are sympathetic to trans people and trans people themselves would, like you said, realize like you can have what you want without forcing people to conform to what you want, if that makes any sense. Like it's a lot of,
and it may not be right. Like right now, like the way trans people get treated is somewhat, there's an analogy made the way gay people were treated in the early 2000s. Like it's not right that people don't accept you, but it largely you can be trans in this country. So that right there, that's a plus. I mean, in terms of social progress, we're trying to get there.
Like I think
more work to be done.
I think as far as treating a person like a person, that's not hard for me personally.
Yeah.
That's not hard.
Yeah.
I interact with trans people almost on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Every day I'm at work. Like that is something that like is just, and it's normal. I have no problem with it.
Yeah.
What I do have a problem with, and I've had this issue in previous employment as well, where like people, the Jordan Peterson thing, where they want you to use specific verbiage. That is kind of for me where I draw the line as well. It's like it's
okay one-on-one though, right? If you were friends with me and I was trans and I asked you to call me G or something, like you would do it. I mean, but that's
probably like so my
until it gets crazy, right? Or is it
kinda? So like my thing is this. The whole they them thing.
Sure.
I looked into that, and the reasoning that they gave for that was grammatically incorrect. And some people will probably say, well, that's such a small detail. Why are you hung up on that? And I'm like, because it's wrong. Like that thing is wrong. And again, if somebody had a genuine conversation with me and I felt that they were being genuine and not just trying to do this thing to have some control over like someone else, because I do think that that happens. I know people don't like to talk about that, and they say, well, it's to make this person feel accepted or whatever. But there's some people, I mean, that's just the case with any group. There are some bad people who use something like that as a tool as like a cudgel, like just to like, hey, I made this person do something weird. Like, and I think that feeling for the person who's being forced into doing this act, in this case saying Z, them, whatever, using different pronouns, that sucks. You're socially forced to act or behave or say something in a way you wouldn't say normally. That's not good. Like, but
it's not good for who?
For the person who, I think it's honestly not good for either, but it's also not good for the person who's being.
You may be right, but they don't agree with that. I mean,
correct.
We're talking about the very adamant.
Right.
They wouldn't agree with what you just said.
I know, and that's fine. Like I don't mind them like not agreeing with it. I just don't think that you're not agreeing with it gives you the right to try to pass legislation.
I think you got
forces me to do it.
Yeah, I think you got it.
That's cool. Like and if anybody ever thinks that like I this may end up making it so that I have more guests, which is fine. If someone ever hears me, whether I'm streaming, doing this podcast or whatever, and there's something I ever say that people are like, oh, that sounds wild, Joe. Like, I can't believe you think that. Talk to me. Like, I post like my social media is like very much out there.
You're open to
and I could be wrong.
Isn't
like
that the
what
point,
I just
Joe?
thought, what I just said, I could be 100% wrong, and someone has just not explained it to me correctly.
Sure.
And from that point, I can go, oh, cool, my bad. I didn't realize that was like I didn't know this part of it. Mm-hmm. All right, and then that's the end of it. Like, you've changed my mind in a respectful manner. Like, that is the thing. It's like you're not forcing anybody to do anything. You're just having
what have you said that's controversial even right now?
I think my stance on like not. I had an issue like at a. I'm trying to think of how to phrase this to stay out of trouble.
Yeah.
I had an issue at a place that I worked where it wasn't a big deal, but I could tell like upper management. There's a person that I had known for at least 2.5 years, maybe. And she basically was wanting to transition to being a man.
Okay.
And for a while, people started addressing her as they.
Sure.
And
by her request, or
I don't know. This is the very important caveat to this is that no one ever talked to me about it.
Okay.
Like I just noticed like that there was a shift.
Okay.
She changed her name, like, and I from my perspective I was like, I knew this was eventually going to happen. There's no way that this was not going to be something that I would have to like think about or interact with or deal with. And I was like, you know what? I did everything in my power to like never put myself in a situation where I would have to make that decision.
Which decision?
To say she, they, them. Like I made it a point to not put myself in a position where I would have to say those words, because
you feel like you're getting forced to make a decision one way or the other,
right?
And you just don't have to make that decision.
And well, the thing is, I have my decision. My decision is very much like based in like biology.
Sure.
And
okay.
Science. Like,
no. Hey.
My thing is like I will treat you like whatever you want to be treated as, but at the end of the day, you are a man. You are a woman. Like I understand some people hate that. Like, sure. I get that, and I understand why too.
Well, you're just saying let's look at the facts.
But
you're saying
like,
when people are
scientifically,
saying
like that's how it is.
And I think if no one should get in trouble for making the following statement: if you were born a biological female, you are still a female.
Yeah,
and biologically,
right.
And in society, if I don't know you and you look like a female and you seem to be a biological female, and I say she or her when I'm speaking to you,
right?
No one is getting upset. And if you do get upset about that, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing? Like what? Okay. So now, if you, and as a personal decision, have, and because there's basis for this happening, and so it's a new thing in culture now that it's actually not a new thing in culture. It's always, as we're finding out, always sort of been a thing, kind of like how 10% of the population has been homosexual, kind of like pretty much since ever.
Yeah, I mean,
now,
there's
a certain percentage of that are
literature that backs that.
Yeah, that are transgender, that they don't feel that their gender matches the gender that they're.
Right.
Now, okay, you that's your truth. Okay, so that's how you feel. That's how. And if you go to outside and you say to your friends or your small group or your coworkers, I'd like to be referred to as him or her, or him instead of her, so the male pronouns now, I think that's a reasonable request.
Right.
Now,
I do too.
But you're trying to figure out
No.
Don't force me to.
So here's the thing.
If this individual had asked you straight up, can you call me him and refer to me as a male, and my new name is David or whatever,
I would probably, I would definitely have a conversation with that person and try my best to figure out whether or not they're coming from a place of
genuine. Like,
if it is a genuine request,
I would say it's not for you to determine though, because
people have
be
to
ridiculous.
Right, and but the thing is, you have to try to, because otherwise you're basically saying at any given point in time, someone can come to you and request anything, like in that realm.
Sure.
And if your thing is like, I don't care whether or not they're genuine or not, I just comply, you're opening yourself up to being taken advantage of by a douchebag.
Yeah, you are. You are.
So, and some people will say like, that is an acceptable risk for that person's possible happiness.
Yeah.
But to that I say, you don't get to decide what is an acceptable risk for me. Like, even if it is just being taken advantage of, and I guess then they would say, then I also don't get to decide what's acceptable. Like, it's a back and forth. I get that.
Yeah. Zoom out from this. Like, I can't. So you and I are friends, but there are some things where I can't tell you personally how you feel about certain subjects. You would find that offensive. I would go, Joe, you really got to work on your language. The way you speak to people is really rude. And you go, wait, what the fuck? Why, Michael, we're friends, but don't tell me.
Yeah.
Who are you to tell me that?
Like,
yeah, what if I just started like saying all this stuff personally about you?
Yeah.
Like, hey, you need to conduct yourself better. Hey, like you get angry all the time. You need to work on that.
Yeah.
Hey, you this, and just all this stuff that you're just like, no, we got to have some separation of, I don't want to call it personal and business, but there's something there where you can't tell someone their personal truth. So if a transgender person comes and says, I want to be called this way, and they're using it and they're being ridiculous, or they're using the attention, they're using the victim status,
right?
And they're not saying it, and they're going to switch back, or they're going to switch to be a unicorn, or just be something crazy. Like, my view on that is they're going to suffer the societal consequences and the hardness, the harshness of living that way, and that's not for you or me to determine. That's for us to go, best man, that person seems to be struggling. Like, let's say hypothetically, I know I'm saying all this stuff. If they're being ridiculous, and everyone can kind of tell, oh, this person's just being ridiculous. They're 25 years old and they're crazy. They're socially awkward and they just don't know what they're doing. Yeah. Like, I know that, you know that, reasonable people know that, but this person needs to figure it out on themselves, and I'm going to respect you the entire way. Now, that's not for me to judge.
Right, but let me ask you this then. Wouldn't it, I guess maybe everyone learns differently, but wouldn't another option be to try to help them?
Yeah.
Like, figure that out?
If they're your friend and it's appropriate to do so, I would say, yeah, I think you should.
Because I've heard, what's his name?
I'm doing that with all my friends. If you're saying some crazy stuff, I'm gonna sit you down and go,
like, all right, let's talk about it.
Yeah, if I got a friend who's like financially struggling, I go sit down and I go, look, I love you, buddy, but you gotta get your credit in order, like, or whatever. Like, I've jokingly had that conversation with people, but
what I've heard,
but not to my coworkers, not to my customers, not to my
like those are definitely not conversations I would ever. Well, I would like to not have with a coworker, especially someone who's underneath me in terms of like the hierarchy of like a company, because that's just messy. But God, I was thinking about something and it's slipping. I'm literally watching it like go away.
It's like transgender, like just talking to people, and like this person was kind of forcing you to say certain things, which I get is
oh yes. So I've heard people use the comparison of like a person who is, and I'm not saying that trans people are the same thing as people who are with schizophrenia, but if a person with schizophrenia comes up to you and says, "Hey man, that's a nice snake you got for an arm there," you wouldn't then tell that person, "Yep, it's a cobra." Like it, like you see what I'm saying? Like you wouldn't go along with what someone was saying if it's wrong.
Yeah.
And
I hear what you're saying.
The problem I think with the trans thing is we as a society have not decided what's right and wrong yet. So like
we're figuring it out.
We're figuring that still. We're still figuring that out.
Yeah.
The other problem with that
that's why you and me are talking through it. Right. Like, I mean, yeah.
Yeah. I just don't know how. I wonder what it would take.
And by the way, anybody who says that like two dudes that are like males that anybody who says that we can't like we could talk about whatever we want to talk about. By the way,
my immediate reaction to that is if you're coming to me and this is something that I have to deal with, then I am immediately now like eligible to talk about it.
Like if a friend comes to you who's transgender after this and says to you,
regardless, what I'm saying is if your intention is that everyone accepts you, then everyone is a part of the conversation. Like it doesn't. So like,
yeah. What do you mean?
So what I'm saying is like, some people will say, "Oh well, Joe, you're like a heterosexual like dude.
Yeah.
What are you doing talking about like transsexual people?" My response to that is, if you as a transsexual person or people that are sympathetic to trans, that's a bad word, but if you or somebody who's on that side of the fence, I should say, want everyone to accept you and you want to be a part of society with none of the ridiculous stuff that you have to deal with, everyone now is a part of that conversation. Everyone gets to talk about it. Like it,
sure,
like it's not, you don't get to say, because this has to deal with me, only I can talk about it. It's like, no, it deals with everyone.
That's where the left. That's what we're dealing with right now on the left, and I think you got to open that up to everybody. I mean, this is again like a freedom of speech thing.
Right.
Like you and I can have our opinions, and by talking about it, we're trying to be open-minded. We're trying to figure this thing out and go, what's okay, what's not okay, because it's not okay to just make stuff up and say, I'm now this, you got to refer to me that way. It's like, no, you're like, it's like saying like me saying, well, I'm trying to think of a good example. It's like just saying something that's just, I drive a Prius right now. If I said I come to you and say it's my pickup in the back, it's like, it's not a pickup. We're just trying to, we're not saying that you're lying, Michael. We're just trying to say, are you okay? Like, are you, and it's not that you were okay. And I see the analogy with schizophrenia. It's like, no one's calling transgender people crazy. We're just trying to say, like, how do we figure it out? And it is turning into you're telling me, a normal, reasonable person who's trying to figure things out and I'm trying to do all the right things. You can't hate on me because I'm trying to do right by you, and we're trying to figure this thing out. And
I just think that sometimes doing right by another person is not always what they want.
Yeah,
and
I hear you.
What people want is sometimes easy, and what they probably need, I don't know for sure, is not. And like getting someone to see that is hard. No,
I'm gonna go back to what I said. That I think the way to approach that is individually. You can't tell someone, I think the choice you're making is the wrong choice for yourself. You just can't do that for anyone. If someone falls in love, like you got a buddy and he falls in love with a crazy chick.
I guess that's similar, yeah.
But what if it works out and they're better off for it? And who are you and I to say? I guess
that's fair. I think of it more so of like I feel like I'm doing this person a disservice by not saying like, hey, you're like I'm doing a terrible job of like trying to verbalize it, but like saying, okay, all right, I will address you as Z, to me seems like I've written that person off and I've sentenced them to all the bad things that come with making that decision.
Joe, why don't you just simplify it? Why don't you just go, different people have different opinions, and just, okay, you want to be called this, and I'm gonna let it go, and it doesn't matter what you think about it. Have you thought about approaching it that way?
I mean, I could. I have the capacity of doing both. It's just I feel like by choosing to do that, you are not helping the person.
I don't think I agree with you, and you can't help anyone who doesn't want to get help, right? And
I guess, that's fair.
The reason I say that is because sometimes there's people that want to do things their own way, and it could be in their world just anything is anything, and it works out for people.
Yeah.
And you gotta let people live their own.
That's fair. I think that's a good point. I think at this point, but man, how do you determine in like the Peterson situation?
Yeah.
When you start getting legislation in that's when I guess that's fair. So that will be my new line going forward. I'll for the most part I'll do whatever most people want in that case until law is trying to get passed. That's where I draw the line.
I think that's a weird part about the Canada-U.S. distinction. Yeah. I don't think in the U.S. anybody's ever going to run a law like that. I don't think so.
I doubt it. Yeah.
And I don't think we're even close to that.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, Canada, I went up to Toronto. It's just crazy up there.
Really?
Yeah, they're just very exactly how he's describing, with people are open-minded, and they're like overtly open-minded. Like they're telling you anything's okay, and it's like, okay, well, I didn't even ask. Like they're just letting you know that they're,
I guess it's
open-minded and liberal.
That's fine, I guess. Like it's fine until I can be fined or put in jail for.
Dog, we aren't close to that.
No, we aren't. I'm just saying.
So.
I'm just saying, like that is the line. Like I guess I've turned a corner on that in this conversation.
Yeah.
If like somebody wants to call them, sure, no problem. You want me to call them Z? Fuck, that's fine. I don't care.
Yeah.
Until
because you might be, and I don't.
Yeah.
You don't sound biased to me, but you might be biased in that you grew up a certain way. You grew up, us both, you and me, growing up in the South, might just be like, that's how we view things, as right is right, wrong is wrong. But other people, they have their own way, and they're gonna. The best part is you yourself have to suffer your own consequences or enjoy your own consequences of your decision making. So, for example, if someone else is doing something that I deem to be wrong or right, or I wouldn't do it that way, and let me explain this to you, it's their life, and they're going to benefit from their decisions, and they're going to benefit from their poor decisions.
Yeah.
Or not benefit, but,
suffer the consequences of their poor decisions.
And the best I can do is just be like a nice person to everyone and try to do my best to say, I'm here for you, brother, sister, whatever you want. Like, I'm trying to be a good person in the world. And I only have like a certain amount of close friends and close people and family. I can't talk everyone out of everything, and
That's
it's not
true.
my place to do so.
That's true. I just know that when a person gets into that, I don't know, I have like very defined like levels of friendship with people, or levels of relationships with people. I just know that if by choosing to not help a person, or choosing to not, I don't know how to really phrase that, but I know where that person would go in my head, and at that point I would not be inclined to help them with anything emotionally ever, because I feel like at a certain point it will come back to that, and if I'm not allowed to. And I guess depending on how close I am with the person, that matters. So, I just know that I would be like, all right, well, this person's that, and that's fine. You can do whatever you want to do over there. But from this point on, like, as far as you and I are concerned, you're on your own when it comes to stuff that has to do with that. I can't. If you're not willing to at least even think about my perspective on that, or like saying, hey, maybe this is the cause of why you're feeling this
clearly
way.
The individuals you're describing are so caught up with their own
right
that they're trying to figure out they're obviously clearly most transgender people that are talking about this, that make a big deal about this, are conflicted, and they're trying to think, and they're trying to do what's right, but they definitely feel the weirdness that other people give to them, and they're going through something. So I think a good move for you and me is just empathy.
Yeah.
And I think it's just, and so that kind of solves your issues, like, how, don't come to me for emotional. It's like, if you're just empathetic, maybe you're not interested in what I have to say to you about your decisions. But if you ask me as a friend, then maybe I could be empathetic towards you.
I will always be empathetic towards somebody who's having whatever issues. Like, it's just that imagine if you came to a doctor and
I work in healthcare, so we actually know about transgender, and then people coming in.
No, I'm not even talking about like.
I'm just.
But
I've thought about that.
What I'm getting at here is, say for instance, you have an illness. The doctor has a medicine that you know for 100% in fact will cure said illness, but you don't want that illness, or you don't want that medicine. But you still come to that doctor. Like, I feel bad for you, but you've already told me that you don't want this thing.
So, Joe, why are you the doctor here? That's what I'm saying.
Right.
Who's to say that you know better? Now,
I may not, or I may. Like, that's the thing, is like, we don't know whether or not I know better or not. Like, if in this
so
case,
they don't view you as a doctor. They view you as a shyster who has a solution for me that I don't want.
Snake oil salesman.
Snake,
which is fair. Like, if you're not,
it's even worse than that. You are a person trying to get me. You're a person that society, a hateful society that doesn't accept people that are like me. That's what you're trying to sell me, and your logic, and I reject that logic. And
that's cool, but now, why would you come to a doctor? It'll be like if I went to like a church, knowing everything about like religion or whatever, and expecting them to give me a solution to some sort of problem that's not based in religion. Like, I know that's where they're gonna give me a solution that's based in religion. Like, that's gonna happen. Like, or at least that's expected to happen, I should say. I don't know for sure. They could not do that, but it just seems weird for you to go to somewhere that you already don't gel with, and go to that place looking for solutions. is what I'm getting at. That's what I'm talking about in terms of like if somebody came to me with an emotional problem that has to do with something in that realm, like why would you do that at that point? There's no reason for you to come to me with a problem like that, unless if you think you know like what I'm probably going to say or how I think about said like topic or whatever. Yeah. But I think though I in just this conversation I'm a little bit more I guess not forgiving. What is the word? I don't know what the term, but like I'm more open to like being more conformative, I guess now.
Yeah.
But
it's not conforming. It's just like here. People are cool.
Yeah.
And I like people. Yeah. Doesn't matter who you are. If you're older, if you're younger, if you're transgender, if you're gay, black, white. Yeah. Now, there's some where I treat older people. I don't know how the fuck to talk to older people. Like, do I talk to them like a baby or like, hi, can you hear me? Or like I had this today where I was talking to an older nurse and I started to talk to her because she's kind of old, and so like I just assumed you don't know how to run a computer.
Yeah,
we like curse on this, right? Yeah. Like okay, all right. So like she didn't know how to run the computer or whatever, and it's like I thought that she wouldn't know how to run the computer. I go up to her and I have to explain something on the computer. She does it immediately. I'm just like, and I started off like very slow, careful. It's like no, she's a nurse. She charts all the time. She's quick. I just assume because you're a little bit older with white hair that you have no idea what you're doing. It's like, so that's just a case of everyone's cool. So you get part of that mentality, which we should all adopt, and I'll push for that, is that all of us should go into the world thinking you're cool. Doesn't matter what you believe, what you are.
That's fair.
And so with transgender people, it's like, I don't understand your struggle. And I have
that's another thing too. Like,
but you're cool. Yeah. You're cool with me. And like, and I think the annoyance comes in where if someone who, the idea we're setting up is someone who screws up the same way every single time comes to me and asking about the script. It's like, well, I you know what I think about this.
Yeah, like
it's not that I don't believe you or that I don't this. It's just that you know what I'm going to say about it.
Right.
And you're asking me now. Now I'm going to tell you.
I guess that's fair. In those cases, it's just like, all right, I'm going to tell you the same thing, but not in a mean way. Like,
no, but see, I think that's where the empathy comes in. And you're good. I think you is that
that's fair. Like I'm not going out like saying like, oh, like I think this. Like for the most I don't think there's I don't go around telling people my opinions of stuff because that's irrelevant to them. They don't care. Yeah. Like I'm doing my own thing.
That's a very good thing to realize that
like
nobody cares about you. That's such a freeing
what is the there's a I think it is a philosophical concept.
I love philosophy, by the way.
Oh, yeah, we actually talked about that the other day. Of where like everyone is the main character in their own story.
Sure, yeah.
And you are an extra in everybody's story. Like most people's story, I should say. Like that's one thing I think I've had a conversation with this guy who was like just getting back into like dating and whatever, and he was like super anxious about it. I'm like, I promise you, in probably not even a year, like months, you will not remember that. You're gonna have a weird, awkward time. You might get a funny story out. You might not. It might be miserable.
You're talking about this guy was trying to mac on a girl and got rejected.
He was just like going on a date with somebody. It
didn't go well, or
the first time he did it didn't go well, and then he was going on another date with a different person and was like super anxious about it because the first time.
Can I tell you a Corey story?
Oh no,
dude.
Yeah.
So people don't know Corey, but my roommate, you gotta get him on the podcast.
I love that guy,
dude. He's texting with a girl, never met her, like they just Tinder or whatever.
Yeah.
And then very first date, like they're like in it. He wakes up an hour late to their breakfast date.
Oh no.
And he shows up and like he had to borrow my car. He gets out of bed, he just runs to the car, he shows up. This girl had eaten breakfast on her own and was walking out of the thing, and he's like, "Do you want to go for a walk?" And she said yes. And
my god.
I was like, Corey, what? And now they're like going back out again. It's
good. That's awesome.
Like Corey, I
just destroyed this mic. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But no, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
I can just imagine like a panicked Corey like running out of the house. Just
yeah.
That's
You were. I don't want to get you off track.
No,
I interrupt a lot. So
no, you're good.
Your friend that.
No. I was just saying that like
get back in the game. It's like you won't remember this bad date
how
or whatever.
People don't give as much shit about your mistakes as you do,
or put it this way,
your blunders
if
as
they
you do.
If they do care about petty little things, that's their own burden.
Why am I the main character in your story? Is
Exactly,
the question you should be asking most people.
Exactly.
Especially like just acquaintances. Like it's fun. It's gonna be fun.
I've had so many instances where I talk to someone and they're like, I think later I'm like, oh, I pissed that person off, or I just did this.
Nope,
it's like
I do that all the time too.
And you and then you realize, I realized after a while that I'm causing my own like suffering in my head, that I am thinking about it too much, and I don't know if that person thought that or if it's my own like worrying about it. But the real solution is be as nice as you can be. Try to treat everyone real good. And if you screw up here and there, guess what? That's social interaction is weird, dude. It's just
honestly, the older I've gotten, the more I love it. Yeah. I love putting people in like some weird, awkward.
Yeah,
it's so much fun. Like seeing people squirm.
Yeah. But I know you have to do that with like customers and stuff.
I think I do it sometimes just to have fun, especially with like regulars. Like I do it all the time with Andy.
Dude, can I ask you something about like, so are you a manager? Do you have people underneath you?
Yeah.
So managing people's hard.
It can be if you're doing it right.
If you're doing it right,
if you're doing it right, it's hard. That is my thought on it is because if it can be easy, you can just like be on either end of the spectrum where like you're very laid back, you don't like actually manage people, you just kind of clock in, clock out. For the most part, you make sure things run the way they're supposed to.
Well, you know the difference between management and leadership.
I would think that I would, but I'm curious as to what you think. That
what do you?
I would say that the difference is a leader is trying to get things in one, like you it's a very linear act. Like you're leading people to one goal. Management is completely different. Like I wouldn't say completely different. It's more so of like you are the guy who's in charge of putting out multiple fires. Like, and there can be a many, like there's not necessarily a one end goal. You can kind of put it under an umbrella of like, hey, I want to make sure that this company functions or this asset of the company functions. You can kind of say that, but that involves so many other things. A leader doesn't necessarily have to worry about that kind of stuff. It is just, I need this end goal to be met, and that's it. Like, the other thing is like managing, especially when it comes to like what I do, there's two assets of it where it's like a business side and then there's a people side where you can manage like the business. You can look at numbers and make sure numbers are kind of like where they're supposed to be. But that takes a completely different type of mindset and person than someone who is able to manage people and their emotions and their motivations and making sure that like every day they're coming into work is not the worst day of their life. Yeah. Like, so I don't know. I think my definitions or thought of management versus leadership is very much aligned with just the way that I've managed and led throughout like my life. Like I would compare like being a leader to more being like when I was in ROTC in high school and college. Yeah. Kind of in college. That is a leadership thing. Like
it's like when there's a group of people and you got to get something done, who's going to step up and do it? That's leader.
Yeah. Or at least guide everyone to get it done. Yes.
Yeah. Do the hard stuff that nobody else is willing, because you've been in this situation where there's like a group text or like at work, like there's something that needs to be addressed and everyone looks to the manager, but it's like, if you're all equal, like who's going to step up and do the hard thing that needs to be done? I think that's what leadership is. And management is just making sure that the day to day that we're, like you said, putting out fires and.
Yeah. I guess in your definition, I wouldn't necessarily say that it's the person who's doing the hard stuff. It's the person that's making sure that all the hard stuff is getting done.
I'd call it management.
You'd call that management versus the person that does the hard stuff as a leader.
Yeah, defining the hard stuff is So was it apathy is easy. So it's easy to clock in, do the bare minimum, and clock out. Yep. That's easy.
Yeah.
Anybody can do that. If you can't do that, that's why people that can't get jobs, that it's just like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Like, you gotta just clock in, do something, and you got this, man.
Yeah.
But the leader is the one that says there's something not right. We gotta fix this, or we gotta meet this market, or and who do I need around me to get that thing going?
Done.
Yeah. And I think that's what, like, it's almost like it takes a little bit of courage, like, because you don't want to stand up in front of people and potentially look silly to say, we should go in this direction. They go, no, you shouldn't. It's like, okay, maybe that was stupid. I shouldn't have said that, guys. And I think management is, after you already have a leader who's done that hard thing, management is.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
I get where you're coming from.
That's something I've been thinking about lately.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Like,
dude, working with people is so hard. It's so hard.
Yeah, I think it's working with, servicing people, I feel, is harder than working with people.
Okay.
I've noticed.
Okay.
Or at least for me, it has been over the years. Like, I can get along with most anyone. Like,
except for transgender people.
I get along with anybody. Like, it doesn't. I've had friends from so many different backgrounds, like so many different beliefs. Like, it is, to me, that is not hard. What is hard is telling someone who thinks that they are right or is trying to manipulate a system that is built for the benefit of me and them. They're trying to manipulate it solely for them at the detriment of me. That, hey, I'm still being nice and cordial with this person, even though I think that they're an asshole. Like, that stuff is that has grown harder and harder for me over the years. Where it's just like,
that's gotten harder.
Yeah, I'll never show it. I'll never.
Why don't you depersonalize it? Because it's not. They're against the man. They're not against you.
Right. Well, the problem is some people, even though they are against the man, use you as a punching bag for that.
Yeah. No, that's kind of what you do. Is you're the punching bag for the man.
That's cool.
Isn't that work? A little bit. Like, you clock in and this is what I'm talking about, the principal agents theory, just to take it from the top.
Yeah.
Is that, like, you're hired on to represent, you're trying to serve your leadership, like your bosses that tell you what to do. You're trying to serve them, but really it's on behalf, it's like, who are you working for? Because you're clocking in and you're getting paid by the people. The people giving you your paycheck is who you need to listen to.
Right.
But you're really there to service the customers.
Right.
And that part is the annoying part. It's like, you're not paying me. You're not giving me anything.
I mean, they kind of are, because they're funding the money that comes back to me in a way.
Yeah, but that goes to the man. It goes to, which is a source of contention that I've always been upset about. That, like, and not really upset, but just like
something. When
I go to work, my labor is, I don't see the benefits of it. It goes to my, like,
I see. Yeah.
And then, some of it gets funneled down to me, but I'm generating more value. I know this for a fact.
Right.
Me and my department are generating more value to the hospital system than we're getting. Right. And that's just part of it. So that's what I'm interested. So instead of, like, being upset and, like, being mad about it, I just go and say, well, if I ever want to maximize all the profits and it could be my own, I want to do entrepreneurship, do my own. That's why I love what you're doing here with the podcast. Right. It's like, this is your own. You got everything.
Yeah. And so my mindset, it's not that I guess the question is, at what point does what the customer or the person you're servicing become personal? Because, for the most part, like, I agree with you. Like, you're a representative of whatever service you're doing. Like, and they're usually their issues are not with you; they're with rules or policies or whatever.
Yeah.
But I believe that there is a point where it's not just that. There's a point that it becomes like, all right, well, we are still two human beings, and you should still be treating me like a human being, like, not some computer that you can poke at and, like, make whatever you want to happen. It's like, we've lived in a long time with, like, this whole concept of, like, the customer's always right, and they're almost always wrong. Almost always wrong. And I understand.
Like, Steve Jobs. You know what he has to say about that? The customer has no idea what the hell they want.
Yeah, they don't. Like, they usually don't. Like they have no clue. Like
you got to generate that value.
And that's. I don't say that as like a grumpy manager or anything. It's just more so of like trying to find the balance of like, hey, I get it. You have a problem. Here are the options that I can provide you to help you fix your problem. All right, so why are you calling me an asshole now? Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, it's like, all right, so I've tried to help you.
You know why I think they call you an asshole?
Yeah,
because you fight back.
Probably. No, the thing is,
no, I know.
I don't. This is all internal in my head. I've never verbalized
I know, but if
it's more so, other managers or leads underneath me deal with it more than I do sometimes, just because they're in the customers.
They fight back.
Right. It could be that
they argue back, or their body language isn't exactly. I think the right, and I could be wrong here. I think the right way to deal with that is if you got a customer yelling and screaming in your face and calling you names, it's like, just be that person that just goes like this. They're not mad at me. They're mad at the system, at the job, at the fact they're not getting their product, or I mean, they're just not mad at me, so I can't take this personally. Like you got to get this out, I guess. Yeah. And I know it's affecting me, but it's like, yeah. Give me whatever, because I'm not here right now. I mean, you're not engaging with me clearly, because if you just let people know, dude, I get that your anger is over here, but you're talking to me right here, and I'm here to serve you and fix your problem. Yeah, I think that
I'd like to believe that line would work.
That's super hard. That's not easy.
No. I just think that I've seen situations where people have said that verbatim. Yeah, and that doesn't appease it, because at the end of the day, sometimes people are just dicks and they just want. They want to be upset. Yeah. Some people just are like that. And it's actually easier for me once I've realized that in a person. I'm just like, oh, you're one of those.
Oh, you're just an asshole. You're
cool.
just mad.
Yeah, it's just like, all right, cool.
Oh, you just don't get enough sleep.
You're not threatening me physically. I don't care. Like you it's like we haven't crossed that line yet. So like you at this point you don't exist to me. Like whatever we had to do to get you out the door, let's knock that out.
Yeah, you're firing the customer.
Yeah. Like
you got to fire the customer.
Yeah, it's just like, all right, cool. Like, all right, you're done. We actually had there's a dude that he actually comes back now. He's like a amateur film like director or something like that. It's real sad because like he's the most stereotypical dude that gold chains, like comes in. He's like, I want to look at the most expensive stuff you guys got. And I'm just like, all right, man. Like, it's not really how that works, but like, let me show you this stuff here. And like, you try to like meet them somewhere.
Sure.
And then he also has this guy now that is just essentially, you ever remember, what was that racing cartoon with like,
not Speed Racer or
it wasn't Speed Racer. I think it was like a spinoff of Speed Racer. It was all the like wacky cartoons and the weird cars and stuff. And they would race, and there was always that little dog. It's like, sorry, boss. Like the little like white dog with the you know what I'm talking about, Kim? Do you remember the name?
It's not an anime, right?
No. Okay. This is just an old. Yeah, Penelope Pitts. Anyway, but there he is a lackey. Like he comes in, he does whatever the dude says. He gets yelled at, and I'm just like, man, come on. Like that kind of stuff makes me sad.
Well, no,
I'm just like,
I think again, like,
what was it called? Wacky Racers.
Wacky Racers.
You never seen that?
Never even heard of it.
No,
I don't even know what the hell you're talking about.
It's terrible. Like,
okay, all right.
Like, it's really bad. But for whatever reason, like when I think of Lackey, I think of that little dog because like he's just the worst.
But I mean that's kind of like, and again, not to be it's non-judgmental, but if you are the person that gets pushed around all day and you're working for someone who's you just get treated like a dick all the time, or they're being a dick to you all the time, that's your own thing to bear. Maybe some people are like, they're cool with that. There's some people are, I mean, we live in like 2019 in America. Like you can quit your job. No one's forcing anybody to work here. Yeah. You can quit. You can find some, or you can stand up for yourself, or you can say, hey, I don't appreciate the behavior. You got to get a backbone. You got to get self-confidence. I want self-confidence for everybody. I think that's a number one. That's a huge issue, especially for the people that you and I know at just playing cards and stuff, and just nerds. Just you know,
nerds in general.
Yeah, me included. Like I've had to learn all this, and it's just self-confidence and
like the thing that sucks with that circle of people is like, where are you going to learn that? Like, if you're only isolated in that, like,
what do you mean, Joey? Where are you not going to learn that?
Well, where
you got YouTube? You got
no.
You're just tired of feeling that way.
I agree that. I agree. I'm not saying, but like, if you don't think to look outside of that very specific, tight knit, like nerdy kind of like circle, you're not going to learn it there. Like, you are going to learn on YouTube. Like, if you look into other places, but like, I feel like some people get like trapped in that mindset of just like, oh well, I'm here. This is my world. Like, and then they don't realize that there are avenues to learn.
I have a tough time buying. I mean, I know what you're talking about, and I know people are like that, but you are the only person in this world, and this is the beautiful thing, to advocate for yourself.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're very lucky if you have loved ones, you got a girlfriend that's got your back, or you've got family that watches you out, you got a brother, you got something. Like, you're lucky if you have that, but the default is it's on you.
Yeah.
And that's harsh, and it's also freeing, because this is kind of like stoicism. You know stoicism with philosophy? Did
I tell you about that, the Alf Void channel? Did I talk to you about that? ALFS Void? That was
you might have, remind me if you...
There's a channel that's like built around like different, like around philosophy.
Sure.
She is very much into stoicism, and like a lot of her content is around that.
Yeah,
you gotta check that stuff out.
Yeah,
it's so good.
And like, so like, what does she say that has to do with what we're talking about?
Oh no, you brought up stoicism, and then like I remember, like, for whatever reason that was the first thing that clicked in my head. That's all.
And so like, if you're in your nerdy dorky little group, and you know, and you're the only one, and you're tired of feeling the way you feel society treats you, or your boss treats you, or your friends treat you, it's like, it's very harsh, but you got to realize that it's on you. You get to do it. You get to change this. And it's beautiful. It's like why people say, get off social media, because that's judging what people, or what people are judging you. And you got to not care what other people think, because you're going to go crazy if everybody just,
if you're trying to appease like every different person, like they're too different. Like,
go to the gym.
Yeah.
You got to get your body moving. Like, you just, because it feels good. And you get such a benefit if your endorphins, if your brain's working the right way. And it's fun to like drink or like do drugs and like get your body, but that's just an escape. I mean, you gotta get this naturally. You gotta get it for yourself, and you gotta be good about, I'm gonna feel better because of this later. And that's the beauty of like working out or something like that. And you gotta surround yourself, gotta get yourself out of that negative group. You gotta surround yourself, maybe people outside of that. I mean, if you're in a friend group that you don't feel good, you gotta work your way out of it a little bit and find confident people and emulate.
It's just I don't know. I hate talking about this crowd. I'm not gonna say like specifically the crowd. I've known some people for, God, man, over a decade, which is crazy to me. That because I didn't live in I've only lived in Florida for like 7 years at this point. I've known some of these people for like damn near like 15 years, and I've watched them like that conscious of like, this is it, this is my life, this is it, and that thing just shrinks until they become like this person that's not even recognizable from the person I knew back then. And it is sad. I don't know. I wonder if there's anything that, like, I know we were talking about this earlier, where how you would help someone realize that. Like, you reading, sometimes you can't.
Travel,
like
podcasts, like do things that you don't normally do. Get yourself out of the. I mean, I don't know, but I can tell what's helped for me is that like just travel around the world. I did a mission trip with the hospital. It's actually where I met my girlfriend.
Nice.
So in Ethiopia, we did a mission trip, and just going over to another country and seeing that they have like nothing and they live off nothing, and they're like, a lady walked in and she had like 4 kids, and she looks old and she's tired. No joke, 27 years old. And I was like, you're 27, your back is like this, like wrinkly face because you're in the sun, and just looks like withered and old, and because it's a hard life out there. And she's smiling and she's happy, and her kids are happy, and it's like, how are you happy? Like, because first of all, they're very community focused, so they're just all happy all the time. They're surrounded by each other. You don't need stuff if you got like 15 cool people that I can hang out. Oh, you're busy. I'm going to hang out with this person. I'm going to hang out with and you're just playing soccer or whatever. I mean, you're just
doing whatever. Yeah.
And yeah, it sucks. We got to work. We get paid like $1 a day. But it's like we got what we need here. We're getting, you know, and obviously you want it to get better, but if you're like stuck, or at least you feel stuck, like travel. Like that's what I'm saying about the mission trip. It's like it expanded my brain that I was like, oh, there's a whole new way of doing something different, like different society, different people, different culture. You pick up a book and you start to read it and it's just totally different. Like you gotta get yourself, gotta watch movies. You gotta like get yourself out of that.
Do you think that is something that's harder here than it would be elsewhere? Like in the US? Do you think that because I would imagine that
a lot of people are unhappy here.
Yeah.
A lot of people.
Because I don't think that there's not a lot of focus on like communities.
No,
like
it sucks.
It sucks. It's very much and I think, man, it's weird because
I think it's a huge issue.
Yeah, we were talking about Jordan Peterson earlier, and like a lot of his stuff is centered around the individual. I mean, he does expand that individual to like, now that you've got your stuff in order, now you can help people like in closer, and then you can expand that like as you get better. But I wonder if people do part one and then they stop. Where like, because I feel like those are the like, I could be very wrong, but I feel like those are like the millionaires. Like those are the people that like, I have gotten my shit so together, and that took me so much effort. Why would I spend effort on helping other people? I did it for me. They can do it for themselves. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I wonder if like,
but that on its own is true, and that's harsh. That's a harsh reality.
Yeah.
It's like if you are a self-made millionaire and you haven't like done something unethical, like you did it legally, and you have a couple businesses and you hired people on, and then when they weren't useful to you, you fired them because that's business. And this, we're getting some shit done here. We're not here to make sure people feel good. We're here to make some money, dude. And like if you're that way and you make $1 million, it is your way to do whatever you want. Now, my suggestion is I don't think you're gonna find happiness with all the money in the world if you don't have friends, you're not nice. But if you want to be that way, that's on you, bro. You can be that way, and you're not going to be happy. I don't think that's an evil thing. I don't think it's
I don't think it's an evil thing either. I just think I feel like it stunts that happiness that you got to see in that lady because no one tries to make those tight knit like friend groups anymore. It's all like, well, I talked to this person online, or I've chatted with this person, or I've texted this person, like I've called, like even calling, I think is like on the
dude. This is an awesome thing that I learned. Like, all right, so you watch like Joe Rogan Experience, and you see this guy who he's a funny guy, and he's got what he started to refer to is everybody has his friend. So he says that like every episode. Oh, I got a friend that does this. I got a friend. It's like, Joe, how many goddamn friends do you have? Like you have like thousands of friends, but I learned that it's actually a trick. So what you do is you don't have that many friends that you consider to be friends.
Right.
What you can say though is you can change your mentality to say, oh, what if I have lots of friends? And you just change, because I know lots of people. Like you know, all of us know people. But what if you just changed the way you thought about that person? You thought, hey, at work I've got some work friends. Outside of that, I got some different friends. People I play Magic with. Those are my friends. And it's like, if we've had a nice exchange, you're my friend now.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's going to be levels to this, and it does get to the point where sometimes I tell people, "Oh, I've got like this friend who does that," and they go, "You don't have that friend," and I'm just thinking in my head, like, I guess technically that it's not my friend, but you're missing the point of what I'm trying to say is that I like this person, and because I've made that decision to go, I'm not going to be alone in this world, because it sucks when you're lonely or you don't feel like you have lots of friends, which I've been there.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think
all of
most
us,
people at some point, like,
you got to go there to realize all the good that you have.
That's true. Yeah, you need something to contrast it with.
Change your mentality a little bit and start referring to people as like your friends, and I think that helps.
Oh,
yeah. Is that
so? It just occurred to me, and then this is gonna come across as terrible.
Yeah.
I was, were you suggesting this for me?
No. Okay,
all right.
No.
I was like,
no,
because the way that you phrased it all the time before, I was just like, I wonder if he's talking specifically to me or if he's just talking to Joe. That's okay. All right, cool. We're on the same page. I wasn't sure if we were on the same page or not. That's what I was like. was like, I don't.
No,
I'm
I
not
just
sure.
I know that you and I like both watch like Joe Rogan Experience,
right.
so it's kind of cool to like see what's the trick he uses, and then we're talking about all these
That's
like because we're talking about lack of community and lack of people, which you felt that way and I felt that way,
right.
And so I think the way you and I both solve this, it's not directed at you, is to do what I referred to. I think so.
That's fair. No,
I don't know if that helps anyone.
Hopefully it does. Like
I'm figuring out. Nothing comes from me. I'm just going, this is kind of cool.
It's like this worked for me yesterday. Like it might work for you. I might find a better solution tomorrow. Like,
I love thinking about things. I love just like, let's try this thought out. Let's put it out into the world and getting people's reaction. And
not to jump around too much, but I'm trying to remember it without looking at my phone. The other thing that I posted in there. Or the other link that I shared with you.
You were talking about should people take literacy tests or just tests?
Yes.
Civics tests.
So, yeah, thanks.
So let outline it clearly.
So the premise was it was a suggestion actually from a person online about whether or not people should take some sort of test to be allowed to vote. And when I first read it, my first thought was like, oh, that makes sense. And then it clicked with me. I was like, oh no, there's a lot of problems with this. Like I can see how this can go very, very wrong very, very quickly. I wonder if there is a way to make that work though.
Yeah.
Like have you ever thought about something like that before or
Yeah, it's good and bad, right?
Yeah. Like
okay, so you definitely don't so the problem right now is that anybody who wants to can roll up and vote for Harambe.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So you got a bunch of dummies doing that. That sucks.
Yeah. As funny as it's
funny
supposed
as
to be,
shit.
like
but
it sucks. Like
it like this is actually serious, guys. Like
the other thing I think that it negatively impacts too are like independent like nominees, because like they get lumped into the same mental ring as Harambe. And that sucks.
Yeah.
Because I've seen so many independent like nominees like. Or like just people brought up or saying like, oh, well, I'm an independent. And it's just like, oh, well, this person has some good ideas, but no one's going to take this person seriously at all.
Yeah. And
the way our system is really set up, it's really hard for people to be taken. Like it's hard for someone to do that. It's damn near impossible.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, can you think of a way, Michael, you got 2 minutes. Can you think of a way to make a testing system or something like that work?
Yeah. You want an informed democracy. So an informed democracy, basic ability to read, I think, is an idea. Or you could make it like very visual. So just something easy. And then you ask basic civic questions. So Donald Trump versus Hillary Clinton, both are running. These are your two options. Like you have other options, but do you understand what the president does?
Yeah.
And we would have to make it multiple choice. I'm not for this, by the way.
I know. You're
I'm thinking through it.
Yeah, right.
And I'm not sure that it would work, but you would want to ask. What would you want to ask to have an informed?
I think
voters.
Do you know what the president does is a very good question. Do you
like what like just to inform people? It's a check to make sure that they know what they're doing. And what do people think that they're voting for the president? What are some misconceptions that the average voter has? I don't think they're informed. They don't know what Donald Trump is for. They don't know what Hillary Clinton's for.
I think you would have to outline factually. This is the other problem. Is like you'd have to outline factually policies that they are for, or at least that they've said that they intend in implementing.
Okay.
The problem with that is, how do you get someone to make a test or anything like that that's not biased? I don't know if that's even possible.
Do you know about the so they tried to make it in North Carolina, I believe, a couple years ago. Like it might have been.
Oh yeah.
Do you know about this?
I heard about that. Yeah.
So
I think that was actually in that article. They talked about like they tried it and it didn't go well.
Well, so the quick story of that was that in North Carolina made it required so you have to show a driver's license to register to vote. Well, the reason the lawmakers did, and it came out in like a memo, is the Republicans tried to do that because they did an analysis and a study, and it turned out that African-American voters tended to vote Democrat. So they targeted a certain block of African-American voters and said, you don't have driver's license, therefore you can't vote. And that twisted the election, and they explicitly made this law so that they would win, and Republicans won. So I don't know if they turned down the law or anything like that, but it's like that's an inappropriate use of people think, oh, we should be able to show an ID to be able to vote. That's not controversial, right? It's like, no, we should eliminate as many barriers as possible for any American to vote. That's the idea behind it.
How do you know that this person, and this is just me being very uninformed, what other way do you have to validate that this person who's voting is legitimately an American, like a citizen? Like,
okay, so
how do you what systems are put in place now that, like, obviously they would have to register, but like if you're saying that a person can just like walk in, fill out a sheet of paper, and this person is now registered, like, you see what I'm saying? Like, not saying that the ID thing is a good idea. I think that I get where they're coming from. I understand what they were trying to, I know that they were trying to like twist it for themselves, but I can see how a good intentioned person could come up with an idea like that with solely good intentions.
Sure.
I don't know how can you verify someone or verify citizenship outside of having some form of, like, it's not an ID, but like you have to have some way of proving that this person actually lives here, is a part of this like group to count their vote. Because otherwise then you have people who just show up like who have no like very little invested in like the actual going on of what they're voting on, but they get to vote. I don't know.
You just, so it's like what we have right now is an uninformed democracy, and that causes problems in the current system. So you have people who don't care, who show up to vote, and they have arguably no idea what they're doing. They're just putting in, and like, oh, build the wall. It's like, do you know anything about, and you're just going with it.
It sounds catchy.
Yeah. And so what it does is the issues with that is that the American culture, it incentivizes a system of, if you get tweets out there, or if you're able to say catchy little phrases, you're able to get 1 second on television, you're able to be funny. Like during the Republican debates, they were like, Trump got a laugh. Like,
he was. And
it's like, we can't have that as as it stands currently, that incentivizes voters who don't know anything to just vote to vote on that one thing. So how do we make it so that from a voting perspective, I think that's a whole the one culture of, we got to have an informed debate, and we got to be better about that and communicating what we each stand for. On the other side of it is, you want to have an informed public, an informed democracy that has proper decision making. A basic civics class, what the president does, what Congress does, what the Senate does, what your local community, what your senator stands for.
Right.
And you can't force people to read all that and understand it, because if you do that, then you're eliminating a large section of the
can't or won't. Like, yeah.
And that's anti-democratic to make it even 1% harder to vote. I think a real basic civics question asking, what does the president do? Do you know, like this? The president is the commander-in-chief of the military.
Right.
Just a statement that says that. Do you understand the statement?
Yeah.
The president, and we don't have to say the president can start wars or whatever, but what else would we put on there? Do you know that your congresswoman do you think that each candidate should have a list of issues that they stand for? Or is that,
I think that
on the ballot?
Not even necessarily on the ballot. Sorry, were you saying something?
Well, also I'm thinking about this in a different perspective of trying to fix the current issues, but
Gotcha.
you're also referring to this from illegal immigrants who vote, or like we don't know who's. Two ways to deal with this.
It would be ideal if you could guarantee that every person who was voting was a part of the group that should be voting, like a part of the people who. It doesn't necessarily. It has nothing to really do with like a presidential election, like just in general.
Okay.
If people are voting on something, it should be people who should be voting on it. Like, have you heard about the whole telescope that they were trying to put in Hawaii? Have you heard about that at all?
Yeah.
So like that is an instance where it's like, all right, so you're the reason why you don't want it there is because you're considering this area a sacred land. And the native people are saying, don't do that. Do you let everyone vote, or do you have the natives vote? Like,
okay,
you see what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
like it should. It
you
should
gonna piss someone off,
right? Like, no matter how you do, you're gonna piss somebody off. But the question is still like the people who, and then how do you guarantee, which is impossible to. I'm beginning to think that it's impossible to. How do you guarantee that those are the only people that are voting? Like, I don't think that's possible, really.
I just think it's just democracy. Just we're all in this together because you and I live in the same state. Guess what? We're voting for, or the same region, the same.
But then there's the problem of like the whole purpose of them being against. Man, I hope I don't go too deep in this, but the whole purpose of them being against this telescope thing is because it is a sacred ground, like it might be a religious thing, it's a sacred ground, or sacred area. If you have the entire population of Hawaii voting on something like that, how many of those people are not natives and don't care about like whether or not it's a sacred ground or not? But the people who it's affecting are the natives, the people who actually do. I'm sure like some of the native people are on the other side as well. They don't mind it.
I don't think that's an issue you vote on.
You don't think so?
I don't think you vote on that.
What do you?
I don't know the story exactly of whether they voted on it or not. I
don't think they have. I think that was an idea that was put up, but I don't think that any action's been.
If it actually is like a religious thing, and you're in the minority of people, if you would apply to your local government and say, we have a sacred site or we have this, and this isn't a matter to vote whether we're going to build a telescope there or not. And that either decides one way or the other. Now, the irony of all this is that people vote the local representatives in who make that determination, but you trust their judgment and good or bad. And
I think the other thing, a little bit of minutia for that specific thing is there are already telescopes there, smaller ones.
Sure.
I think their thing is it's like now we're adding another one like to this place that's already like we've met you both ways here. We've tried to compromise, and you've got these three that are here. Now you're bringing this fourth one. Stop. Like which I totally understand on both ends. Like if people,
it's almost like what people were all like mad that Trump might be like getting rid of national parks or whatever, and that's like a big deal because national parks, once you take those out, those don't come back. Like once those are gone, if you take like Yellowstone National Park is so many miles across, but we're going to just eliminate 30 miles of it. It's like, well, that's it. It's like, never coming back once you build roads on that or whatever. I mean, it's like, so there's so who advocates for the national parks? It might be only a minority of the population that cares.
That's true.
Most people are going to come out and vote for that.
Yeah.
Then that's kind of the problem with voting, right? That's kind of the problem with, should we be voting on everything? You get leaders to make those minute little decisions, and the problem is that there's a lot of area for corruption that, and I know I'm going back to my principal agency theory where
go for it.
The people that are incentivized to get elected through corporations giving money to the campaign of those people. It's like that they get in and they start making all these deals with the tax breaks for the corporations or whatever. It's just we have like a corrupt system where people are incentivized by the wrong things and not by just being a good leader.
Do you think maybe it makes sense to find a way to fund those like across the board from presidential candidates to like local offices, make the funding for them flat. Like not.
Yeah.
I think
yeah.
I think that would be a perfect solution to that problem, because a lot of the things like.
So it's a good idea. I mean, yeah, I don't know.
Because I get it if you've built up a lifetime of that wealth and the connections to be successful at doing that. Great. And on one hand, you deserve that. You've done the work, you've grinded. Now you have the wealth and the connections to lead a extremely successful campaign. But your policies suck. So like versus some dude who's like, you know what? I don't like the past like couple of decades. I'm going to try to make this shift to what I think is correct. And maybe more people actually do agree with him, but not enough people get to see that guy.
Yeah.
Because like,
you feel like that's happening with Yang?
Yeah, man, it's so sad.
Yang's got the best ideas.
He's got some good ones, man. Like, I don't know. He's got good ones. He's got. I don't know if this is on him or his publicist. They're smart about the way that they are getting him in front of people. I should say, like they from the appearances on like some random podcasts. He was on like the thing with Ethan.
Oh, the H3.
Yeah. He was on that podcast, which genius. Like that's where I think like especially you would never see like anyone like
dude getting those apathetic 20-year-olds.
Yeah, you're not going to get like up until now. You might see them do that now in the future because they will see how like beneficial this is. Like Bernie Sanders was on the Joe Rogan podcast. I think people are beginning to realize like, oh, there's other people that I can talk to.
Sure.
Like I don't have to go on like Fox or CNN or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, which is awesome. Like I love that because I get to be introduced to ideas that I would have otherwise never seen because I don't watch that. I'm not the type of person that sits down and watch like, all right, what's going on Fox today or what's going on like MSNBC today. Like that's not.
Well, like nobody does that.
I mean, people definitely do.
Well, less and less.
It's definitely on the decline
exaggerating
for sure. Yeah, but I'm just happy to see that like people, or at least politicians, are realizing, oh yeah, this is how things are going now.
Yeah,
like which is cool.
It's really cool.
If nothing else, hopefully his campaign will help other politicians realize, oh, that's what I should have been doing.
Yeah.
So,
no, it's one of those things where it's like there's this contradiction of if you want to become president and you have like the most money, or you like Hillary Clinton, she was like a good candidate, but she wanted to be president, and everyone kind of like had this weird thing of she's just in it for her legacy, or she's not in it because she wants to be like a solid leader.
Yeah.
It just, we had that thing that was off. And if you want to become president, it's like you probably shouldn't be president, but if you want to make things better, that's who we should be voting for.
Yeah.
And
it's hard to find that guy because that guy's not going to be on your TV. Like he's not going to be on an ad or anything like that. That dude's like probably still working at some bar somewhere. Like which sucks. I don't know. I mean, what if people like only I guess that would be too many people. I was going to say if there was a way for a person cannot announce like their candidacy. Other people have to like
just based purely on their like list of what they're what
they
stand for.
They can post a thing that says like, here's my policies, and then like if enough people are like, I like this person, then that person becomes like a nominee or something. I don't know.
No, I think the reason why that wouldn't work is because you're voting on the person. It wouldn't work for another person. But you're voting on the individual, and I think that's people's reaction against Trump is that I'm not sure he's good with people. I'm not sure he's like on the national stage. Do you represent our country and someone that I'm like, oh, like, and everyone always says this big meme, Obama was like the perfect person for. Man, that would be a person that I would love for him to go to another country, have him as our representative. I trust him. Like he's not going to make a buffoon of himself.
He's a great representative.
He's just smooth. He's just, and it's almost like, I don't care what he chooses to do. I trust that it's the right thing. And whatever that is, you want to see that over and over and over again and it doesn't matter Democrat or Republican.
I think over the years, I value that less.
I
think it is important because, especially with our country, it's extremely important because like what happens here exaggerately, like I don't know if that's a word, like it echoes across the world.
Yeah.
So I think having that person be a good representative is important. However, I do think that, and I think this happened with Obama, he was so good, he was so charismatic that some of his actual policy decisions weren't great. And people didn't see that. They just saw he's a cool dude. And he is. I watched he was on like a thing with Zach Galifianakis.
Oh yeah.
Hilarious.
Yeah. Between the two friends.
Like that guy, he's witty, like he I think he's a cool dude.
Yeah, but he made some decisions
unfortunate decisions, in my opinion. But I don't know, like it. But I also think that
I feel like anybody who makes a decision, it's like you don't know if it's gonna be right or wrong as you're making it. So like
right. That's
and
true.
you and me make decisions. We're like, I don't know if it's gonna work out, but I'm gonna make this decision, and it could go bad. And
I'm doing that right now, actually.
Yeah,
I'll tell you about it after this.
Yeah, I want to hear about it. So, you said after the podcast?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
You wouldn't have known about it. So never mind.
Okay. And so that's like this thing about you. So when you're going into business with someone, the advice I've heard is or you're investing in someone, choose the jockey, not the horse.
Okay.
And then this other guy, Gary Vee, says choose the jockey and the horse. But the point of what he's trying to say is don't choose the ideas, choose who's going to execute on the ideas, because you have to trust their minute-to-minute decision-making, and they're going to be right most of the time. And so this is just an idea that the reason Obama was good, and despite you have some bad calls or bad decision-making.
Which everyone is going to, especially in that position, like in that office. Like, there's no way you're going to.
Overall, he had to, with the limited information that he had, which is more information than anybody else in the world, with the limited information he had, because he doesn't see the future and he only has a certain what's being put in front of him, he had to make those decisions. And I would trust him in that position to do so. Whereas with Bush, it seemed like I watched that movie with Christian Bale, Vice. If you haven't seen that, it's super good. It talks about how his vice president, oh my god, it slips name slip. No, Dick Cheney.
Dick Cheney.
Yeah.
No, I was trying to remember which president you were talking about, but yes.
W.
Yep, W.
W. It seems like Dick Cheney, his vice president, had ulterior motives for starting the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, and that influenced Bush to make. So Bush was sort of the bad jockey and didn't lead out his team in the right way, and was influenced by someone we didn't vote for with his own motives.
Yeah.
And it just seems that this has made us into poor decision making. And so
why don't you? Oh, so first question is why don't we vote for a vice president? I feel like that should be a part of it.
You vote for the president, president chooses vice president.
I'd much rather vote for the vice president.
Yeah.
The other thing that it reminded me of,
not a bad idea.
I think that it would behoove us instead of just having a president, and like, why not have both parties, or at least 2 to 3? Well, it has to be 2. It would end up being 2 with our current system. Why not have them both have an elected official? You can change the name, whatever you want to call it. President 1, President 2, like whatever you want to call it. And
so, like the Republican Party,
a Republican president and a Democratic president.
Oh,
and have them both hold that office. They would both essentially function, and they both essentially function as a president, but 2 people, from 2 different like perspectives.
Okay.
That way, you don't have a.
Dude, you wouldn't get anything done.
I thought about that too.
Right?
I think that it would get done by the other offices, as in like Congress. Like, I think those kind of decisions would be made easier that way. I do think though that I don't think people get like those parties credit that there are a lot of things that I think they would agree on. there's also obviously a lot of stuff that there's a whole reason there are two parties. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff that they disagree on, but
I wish there was more parties. I wish there
was too. But
and I wish they would had just the same resources, but we're
I just wish that there was a way to like even out a representative or even out like the ideas that are the ideas that are moving the country instead of it, because I feel like you have Clinton, then what, Bush.
Yeah, then we're tired of him. Then we're tired of him.
It's literally doing this over and over and over. Like
we are more polarized.
Yeah, we're definitely more polarized now.
Yeah.
But like, I wonder if we wouldn't be if there were just two presidents, like two people that were trying to run the country together,
and they could like sit in a room and have an adult discussion where it's like, look, I'm trying to go this, you trying to do that.
I get where you're coming from. Like,
let's negotiate in real time, and then we can come up. Yeah,
that seems like that is ideal. I don't see like I don't want to say I don't see.
So don't we kind of have that with the checks and balances of, you know, there's a certain amount of Republicans and Democrats in the seats in the House, and
until it's not, because sometimes that flips.
Yeah,
because say for instance,
that's why we have staggered elections. Right.
So but like there are moments in time where those two things line up, where like you end up with a Republican president in office and you have a majority Republican like Congress, or Senate for that matter.
Yeah.
Like, and boy, is that not great. Like, not necessarily saying it would also be not great if it was Democratic. It's like I do think you're right where things would take longer to be done. The more even they are down the line, because you have to come to a decision at some point.
Yeah.
And if everything is even on both sides, you can't make one. But boy, does it suck when the decision is wrong. But
but it's like wrong by what metric? Like, because like almost like what we said before, the Iraq War at the time
seemed like everybody was for it.
What are we doing? What are we doing now? Like,
that's fair.
Yeah,
but I think some of that is though, like, it was right for the time, or let's say that it was right for the time, and other motives have kept people there, or they stayed there longer than was necessary. Making the decision to like say,
dude, I thought Obama would take troops out. Like, I don't know why he campaigned on that both times. Mm-hmm. Like, he said, I'm gonna take troops out. And then, like, he didn't. And I don't know why not.
I wish that there was some way to find that out. Like, truthfully find that out. Like,
I think the answer is just, it's a clusterfuck. I mean, I just think it's...
There was a gentleman, I forget his name. I think he was also running for president. The guy with the eye patch, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, is it Crenshaw or something?
Something like that. He had a
I don't know much about him.
He was also on the.
Oh, that was the
yeah. He was talking about.
We should have a Joe Rogan podcast.
Yeah. Just like change the.
We'll just watch it and comment.
But like he was talking about like the how when we send troops into places like that, the immediate pull of them out, how much harm that would do.
Yeah,
and I don't think anybody's wanting to do that. I do think that ultimately people want their family members back home from stuff that they can't find value in, and maybe that's just
that's the good part, right? Is that arguably everybody over there in the military has chosen and signed up, and they want to be over there. So I think we're trying to find good things to talk about a horrible thing that occurred and still occurring. I
think
could you imagine if we had like a conscription? If we had dude, if they forced me to go over there, I was like, dude, I don't want to be here. Like, what are we doing? I want to be back home. Could you imagine?
When is that cut off? Like,
what do you mean?
I know there's like an age thing. Do you remember?
Yeah, I think it's like 25.
Oh, okay.
I'm just making that up.
I
have no basis for that.
I remember when I was in ROTC, I knew all this shit. Like, and man, that was like a very, very real like possibility for me, was to go like head on into the military.
Yeah,
and I was very close to doing it, and then at the last minute, I chose not to.
Yeah.
And there's moments where I'm like, maybe I should have. But like, there's also moments where I'm just like, no.
Why do you think you should have?
I think some of the lessons that I learned, and just like life lessons I learned in ROTC,
they stuck with you.
Yeah, and they've done me well. Like it's just
self-discipline, or
self-discipline, like making sure, like I got into MMA very like briefly.
Oh, yeah.
But keeping myself in okay shape.
Yeah.
Like I'm nowhere near as good as shape I was when I was actually like fighting and stuff.
Yeah.
But like now, like I'm very cognitive. I'm like, okay, all right, well, Joe, you put on like 3 pounds, 5 pounds.
Yeah.
Get rid of that.
Yeah.
And it's just like, all right, well, I gotta get rid of that.
Yeah.
And I can do it. And I've seen people struggle with things like that where it's just like they don't have the mental discipline to just be like, all right, yes, this is gonna suck, but you want this, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And you're gonna it's gonna suck for a little bit.
There's like a time in every man's life, and it's weird that sometimes it happens to like when you're like 15 or 16. Sometimes it happens when you're like 35. But you just go, oh, I'm gonna have to do a lot of shit that sucks to get what I really want because I'm not happy with how it, because if you let things go, your finances get out of order. Your body gets overweight.
It's
just
bad.
Your relationships suffer. So like you got to do a lot of stuff. That's sort of why I asked you about like being a manager is tough because like I think one day I'm going to be in like a leadership position and I'm in a master's business program right now and we're just learning about all this stuff and it's just interesting to see people who are actually out there doing it where I feel like I'm just going to school and it's like I want to actually get there and do it.
Man, I've worked for a couple of different companies. One of them was GameStop for Jesus. I did that during
Dude, was that
college.
awful?
The thing that's funny about GameStop
I've never met like a happy GameStop employee.
It's like they're few and far between. They're usually like new employees.
Sure.
So like the thing about GameStop is like as a regular employee, a game advisor as they call them.
Game advisor.
Yeah, it's a terrible title. But like as a game advisor.
If you really want to be a game advisor, dude, you sit here and talk about games. YouTube game advisor. You don't sit in GameStop.
I almost want to do that. I want to do like a YouTube series of like the real game advisor. Like, because anyway, like that company as starting off, it's awesome. It's great. Like you get to go to work. You're working around this thing that you like. Every now and then you actually get to have conversations with people about this thing that you like. It's only until you have to realize how poorly managed that company is that you're just like, oh, fuck. I hate this. I hate coming into work every day because I'm going to get yelled at about something that I have no control over. Like, it's like, it is just like that and man, that company is... It's bad. Granted, they're not going to be around for much longer. No,
are they
not. They just like announced that they're shutting down like a couple hundred stores like worldwide.
So a bunch of employees were let go and
I've actually noticed that's been a trend the last couple of like weeks
with GameStop or just with
companies companies in gaming and like Rooster Teeth. I don't know if they just laid off like 13% of their staff yesterday. And it was like no like lead up to it. It was just like, surprise, you don't have a job.
That's what gets into weird things if you can't tell people because then
right. So I've actually wondered about that a lot. So what do you think is the biggest risk about telling someone, hey, bad things or like your job is going away, but we're giving you a heads up. You've got, I don't know, a month, 3 weeks or so to like find something new. What is, and I'm sure it's very obvious. I just haven't thought about it. What is the big problem with that?
It's business, man. This is not personal.
Well, that's not. I understand that, but like, say, so cutting. I'm not saying necessarily for a person that's like for a bottom line, but like, say for instance, you've had this manager and on some level.
Say it's your store,
right?
Say you own the store.
Okay. Say you own the store, or say I own the store.
Sure.
We've lost X amount of money for whatever reason. Like the market for whatever reason is taking a big dip.
Yep.
You tell like. You're basically deciding whether or not that month of pay for that employee, how much that is valued to you as an owner.
Yeah. Well, you got to have your numbers in order. So if you don't know where your money's coming in, you either have a bad accountant or you need to get like, I mean, right? You got to know whether the 5, let's say you have 20 employees, the 5 non-essential personnel, the ones that are replaceable or we can hire and fire pretty quickly, pretty easily, kind of like usually frontline staff.
Yeah.
It's we cannot sustain this anymore and expect to continue on as currently stands.
Right.
And, you'd like to think that management knows this and makes a decision to say, we're going to try to up our sales so that we can keep 5 people, because you never want to downsize. You want to keep everybody on staff and continue to grow, because we're trying to grow here. We're trying to make some money. We're trying to be better next year than we were last year.
Right.
So if it's going that direction where we're going to fail, because our sales are expected to be the same month to month to month,
I guess that's a good.
We're going to have to get rid of those 5 people, and you sit them down, and it's going to be awkward. And what most owners do is schlep this off to middle managers.
Oh, absolutely.
And say, you're going to have to fire this person. It's like, because I don't want to do it. It's like, I don't think that's good business leadership.
Yeah.
I think you, as the owner or the leader who's making that decision, you sit down and with those 5 people and explain it and say, look, how much time do you need? But we're eliminating your position.
But that's the thing, is when that's the thing that I noticed as a trend, is where it's not like how much time do you need. It's like, you're gone. Like tomorrow you don't have a job.
So legally, I guess you could do that.
Yes. That's the thing, is like,
I don't think you should.
Yeah, that's okay. Okay,
right?
That's
like,
what I was getting at.
Less mean.
Yeah, it sucks. Like
I say business is business, personal is personal, but like obviously the two are related. People spend their hours, their life, they're trading their life hours.
Their life hours for your money. Like,
and to make you money, and they get paid. But I think that's a bullshit way to look at it. Is like an employee's just here to get paid. It's like no, an employee's, especially our generation, is very good about this. This is what people hate about millennials, and they talk a lot about like hiring millennials, and I've talked to other people that talk about hiring millennials and stuff like that. Is we care about like what we do and what we like day to day. We want a good work environment. We want to have like they made a joke one time, like if you don't have a best friend at work, you're not likely to, your turnover is much higher.
Yeah,
turnover is something that companies definitely care about.
Yeah,
so they don't want employees to come in and have to fire them and have to leave. So they want you. It's actually an incentive for them. They want you to like the job, because then you'll stay, and then business is better for it.
Right.
So I kind of lost my track, but like how it you can't separate the business and personal. So I mean, sometimes you just have to make decisions that are business, but you gotta let them off easy. And I think it's a generally good. If I was running a business, at least a 2-week lets you go. And if they're frontline employees, they sort of know we've been struggling, or maybe keeping them informed.
That my entire
causes tension though.
Yeah, but like, there's that, and that's been the one argument I've heard, is like, oh well, if this person knows that they're not gonna have a job in 2 weeks, they're more likely to like steal or like embezzle something. I've heard those things, and I'm just like, if you have hired someone,
you shouldn't be in a position where someone's stealing anyway.
Yeah, if you've hired someone who has the capacity to like do something of that nature, you fucked up. Unless you've noticed that there's been a trend along the way, and then again, you still fucked up, because if you see that's a trend along the way, then you need to address that then, not now that you're trying to get rid of people for some other reason.
There's a lot of things going on, right? So you're talking about an industry specific. So I think if you're hiring people for retail, that's going to be a certain, like, I mean, you're just, it doesn't take a lot to hire those people on. So they could be, I mean, there's a wide range. You get real good workers, you get real people that don't give a shit about the job. And if you don't give a shit about the job, and then we tell you, hey, your position's being eliminated, we're going to give you a month, but we're going to do 2 weeks. We're going to lower your shifts. And then by the end of the month, you're actually no longer going to be employed. Best of luck to you. And that person goes, screw you, I'm going to steal stuff. You have to make sure that you don't get stolen from as a business owner. So you have to put protections in place.
That's fair.
And if people are stealing, you got to CYA, you got to cover your ass and bring legal charges to them. Yeah. And for some employees, if you think they're going to steal, it might just be worth eliminating there.
I was
That's messed up.
Say that. No, I mean, but it's not.
We can do this case by case.
I think
then that gets some discrimination. Or like, what if that employee is the one black employee, and they felt that was a racist, thing against them, and you fired me or whatever because you thought I was going to steal or whatever. I mean, you see what I'm saying?
As
like,
bad as this is about to sound, prove it. Like
I guess in weird territory though.
Yeah, I get that, but it's like, just because I fired you in a different way doesn't mean that it has anything to do with the color of your skin.
No, of course, yeah.
Like it's like if you truly believe that in your heart of hearts, and you have reason to believe that, by all means, bring it to me and we'll make a decision on that point. Sure. But I'm not going to just say, oh, they did this differently to you because you're black. Like, we probably have not talked a lot about that kind of stuff in passing. That kind of stuff to me angers me. It irritates me too. Not to like, oh, I'm gonna flip a table, but it's more so it frustrates me because like those stereotypes, specifically with like race,
sure,
those stereotypes negatively impact my life for some shit that I didn't do and would never do. Like just moving around, like it, and some people get upset because they're like, oh, well, it's like white people or whatever that like perpetrate or whatever. It's like, no, it's
we're playing blame games, dude.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's like,
easy. But I mean,
to me, what frustrates me is this: like, I know what a stereotypical like African American person that if you were just walking down the street would I know what that looks like in most people's heads, and it is extremely frustrating to have to constantly combat that with every person that you meet. Like, so every time like stuff like that.
You mean people have biases and?
Yeah, I guess it's not even really. Maybe I guess it is a bias. It's not really a bias. It's just it's. If you see that this is actually how I grew up. Every Rottweiler I've ever seen in my entire life was super aggressive. Like they were all the same. Like I've always seen them that way. And then it wasn't until like I grew up and I was like, oh no, that's just shitty owners. It's not the Rottweiler.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
They're just dogs. Like, they're like, so I use that as an example where it's like, if you see in the news and in media and stuff, like every time there's some kind of crime or something, there's like a black dude that's doing it. It's like, it's not because he's black that he's doing it. There's other reasons that's the case.
Sure. So,
but the problem is it's so easy to make that quick, like, oh, that's it. Even if you're not doing it intentionally, like people just, and the same goes for like all kinds of different races, like religions, like people just make assumptions based off of what they've.
Are you aware of there's a book by Malcolm Gladwell called Blink?
No.
Where he talks about split second biased decision making. And so what's included on there, I believe that's included in this book, but I think it's like the no, this for sure is in the book where you have a split second decision making. And so if you flash a bank robber, like you have what race was it? Is it you think black?
Yeah.
But then if you police have this thing where if they hear there's a potential shooter, they think it's a white dude.
Really?
For a mass shooter.
Oh, mass shooter.
Mass shooter. They think it's a white dude. And it's like, is that bias or are we just are we assigning things on pattern recognition,
which is and human nature? Like,
and
that's,
so the interesting thing is Malcolm Gladwell took this test and he's half black, so he's like, am I biased against my own race, or like how does this work? And it's just, is that a racist thought? Is it an active? And he's talking about Blink. So the whole the whole thing is our split second decision making and how we can use that to our advantage, not carry that on.
Yeah. I don't think it's a racist thing. I just think it's something that like sucks, if for a lack of a better term or better word. It's something that like because I'm trying to figure out the best way to verbalize that, and
talk through it.
The worse the more I say it, the more I'm hating myself because I'm sounding like something that I hate.
Sure, no, but
it's like
you gotta think through it.
Yeah, it's I don't know how you. I don't know. It's also, and I guess the more I'm talking about it, the less I care about it, because it's like there's nothing I can do about it. Like that's just how things are.
Well, I mean,
so
it's like okay, so okay. There's like this thing I've been thinking about lately. It's like if someone's racist against you. Doesn't matter. I mean, like, obviously, if you're in this country, if you're black and someone's racist against you, that's fucked up. But it's more a reflection on that shitty person.
Yeah,
and we gotta have this where it's on, like, that's nobody likes that. Nobody likes racists. Like, but it's become like this thing of like pride, I guess, that if you're racist, like people get together in groups and they're like proud of it.
Yeah,
you should be ashamed of that.
That's the thing is
that's not cool.
It's
crazy that we have to say that's not cool.
Yeah. Like I've not run into that yet.
Okay.
Not yet. Yeah. I'm sure
it's mostly online.
Yeah. It turns out if you get a bunch of people together and you make them all anonymous, they do some wild shit.
Some racist things going on, man.
Shit. But I haven't run into that. And in fact, growing up in South Carolina, like I think I would have seen a lot of that, and I didn't. Most of my it's weird. I have such a wide range of different people that I became friends with there. From like the most stereotypical like Confederate flag, like I used to travel and play Yu-Gi-Oh a lot. Like when I was younger, the dudes I used to travel and play with, they had I think it was a Ford F-150 with a Confederate flag just like plastered on the side of the truck. We were the best friends. Like
clearly not racist.
Yeah, clearly not racist. Like it's just like I don't know, man. I feel like people see images and then just immediately like connect it with others, like with stuff when
I was younger. This. So I'm from Maryland. So I grew up like for 12 years there. Yeah. And so I went to school. I went to an all boys school in North Carolina. And so because it's a boarding school, you get people from all over. And so I was assigned to a roommate, and he's a white guy from I don't know where he was from. He was like Georgia or something. I mean, he had an accent. He's like the South, and he put up a Confederate flag. Now, this is a 16 or 15-year-old kid. I mean, he's like young or whatever. Mm-hmm. I don't think he had he was just a nice kid from the South, you know. He had no, but, and me and my little punk friends thought, because we're all Democrat, liberal minded, we're like, that's racist. And so in the middle of or when he was gone or whatever, I ripped that thing up. I was standing up for, I was like, Obama's president. We're against this now. Like, and it's just like, I think that was my bias. I don't think it was. I mean, reflecting back, it was an immature thing. You don't rip up people's property. That would probably be viewed as okay, even today's society.
I think so. Yeah.
And that was 12 years ago. Or I mean, it was a long time ago. And I probably would be praised, or if I took a picture of it on Twitter,
you put that on like
get
Instagram,
a lot of people.
Dude, you're famous. But like you did it.
But I think I made a judgment call on him, and I don't think that was, because there was nothing to indicate that he's hateful at all. But that being said, the Confederate flag, that thing's gone now.
Yeah,
we're not going back.
It's pretty.
Walmart got rid of it, dude. Like we're not. It's over.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I love the whole like school shooting thing in Walmart and whatnot, and like the games, like the video game thing. Have you seen those? Like where they were just like, all right, well, we're gonna like, I think they were like, we're gonna try to tail like violent video games, and that was put up in an article, and an ad was for like how you like guns and stuff for Walmart. And I was just like,
yeah.
Guys,
you're putting it right next to Dude, it's so funny. Can we just clearly state that I grew up playing the most violent video games with all my friends, talking shit. None of nobody's a school shit. Can we just say that?
I grew up playing Halo, Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Fucking yeah. I grinded. I played Modern Warfare 1 and 2 like through college. Like I'm sure I scored worse on tests.
Yeah.
Because I played that game.
Absolutely.
Like
killing people, heads.
Yeah, like
just
that's
it's just fun. It was
I was talking about this with Chris or Mark. I think it was Mark.
Okay.
People, you can get rid of guns if you want. If that's what you want to do, you want to get rid of guns. That's cool.
I'm scared of guns, dude.
I'm terrified of them for two reasons, and we can get to that in a second.
Sure.
But like, you can get rid of guns if you want to. If people have proven anything, it is that they will find some way to hurt each other. It does not, and you will say, yeah, but it won't be at the same scale. I'm like, give it time. Like, if people want to hurt people, they're gonna figure out a way to do it. Like,
I think I disagree.
Yeah,
I think obviously you get your right to have a gun, but it just gets weird when mentally ill people that should not be having guns are able to get guns and able to kill lots of people.
Yep.
And if we had better, they aren't able to do that to the same extent in other countries that have stricter gun laws.
Right. I agree. I think gun laws should be a lot more.
I'll tell you what though.
Yeah.
Not that I ever used to fuck with people, but in Florida, I especially don't fuck with people. Like
Oh,
when you're
yeah,
driving
absolutely.
or
Nope.
like
Everybody's chill. Like,
everybody, because you could have a gun.
I've literally walked out of my apartment here, and in getting into my car, dude, I've seen every day who lives across from me. He was getting into his like SUV, and the angle that he was getting into the car, I saw his gun. Like he had a pistol like tucked into his like belt.
Be nice to that guy.
Yeah, I was just like,
how you doing, sir?
You would have never thought, like in a million years, that dude was like carrying anything, and you're just like, oh, cool.
Sure.
But like, I don't know. When I was younger, I had a lot of friends that like would go hunting.
Sure.
I was a guy specifically in the church that I would go to.
Yeah.
He had shotguns and like rifles and stuff. And every now and then when I was over at his place, we would go out back and we'd shoot like the little clay, like birds, whatever.
Yeah.
It's fun. And through that and through like my time like with ROTC and like being, I actually had a chance to go to one of the military bases in South Carolina, Fort Jackson.
Okay.
And during that time, I gained a lot of respect for guns.
Sure.
So like I don't. But like I said earlier, I'm terrified of them for they kill easily. Like it's not even like a thing where it's like, oh,
it's so quick. You
it's
could just take
so quick, and it accidentally there, and there's no way to go, oh man, I messed up, let me control Z. Like that's not a thing. Like it's very
imagine
like
every memory you have, your life. Imagine how many people you affect or affected by you, and that could just be gone from
like,
someone, some crazy, some just like I went to the shooting range. Like the second date I ever went on with my girlfriend, she took me to the shooting range because she was like, oh, you're not from Florida? Like we're gonna get some. Let's go. You've never shot? All right, let's go shoot. And she's like a way better shot than me. But I was just thinking like, the people to the right, to the left of us, if they just get crazy or they just don't like the way I look, that's it.
It's over. And like it's very
how final. Trippy of a thought is that? That's just
it is it's something to definitely to contend with. But the other thing that terrifies me more is, and it's the reason why I at the moment I've thought about like getting a weapon like but like at the moment I don't. And the reason is I have been to some very, very dark places, man. Like and I know how easy I've seen people do that. Like I know how easily it is for somebody to go, I have it. So now this is my tool to get out of this temporary bad mental space that I'm in.
How do you mean?
So like I don't know, like I've
do you mean like suicidal or
suicidal stuff? Like I can see I see that road of like how somebody can do the mental, not gymnastics, but like mental work to get to a place where they're like, oh, I would like to end it all, and I have the tool that helps me do it easily. So like,
that's pretty deep.
I'm older. I've gone through that now, and I'm like I'm older. I'm old enough to know that like that's not a place that I think I would go now. Sure. But there's definitely been a point in time where I was like, yeah, that's where I want to go. And because I know that
you don't need stuff to make it easier. Like,
yeah, I would prefer to not have. That being said, we do live in Florida, and I do have people.
It's just a Walmart trip away, bro.
Yeah, I do have people that I care about and that I would like to make sure are okay.
Yeah.
So like that is the conflict that is currently like in my head at the moment where I'm just like, what is worth more to me? Like, is that risk worth more? But I guess it's not even really a risk now. Like this is like when I was younger, but like, it's just, I think that the older I've gotten, the more I've leaned more towards like, yeah, I should probably get something to defend myself.
Why would you get it? Why do you think you should get a gun?
Because I think I am old enough now to be a responsible owner of something like that.
Okay. Yeah.
I look at that in the same light of like owning a child or like having a child.
Yeah. Owning a child. Got it. Yeah.
Owning a child.
Yeah.
Like going out and grabbing a child.
Yeah.
But like
it's no Silk Road. You can't do that anymore.
Yeah. No.
They got shut down.
Just I just imagine like a section in Walmart of just like kids sitting on shit. Yeah, like
what the fuck, dude?
Yeah,
what are we doing?
Bad. I don't know. I think though I'm old enough now to like if I owning something like that would not be a detriment to me. It would just be a positive.
Okay.
But I think
it's one of those things that if you have it and you never use it, great.
Ideally, that would be the thing.
Yeah, but you got it. It's better to have it than not have it. I'm just not that worried about people breaking in.
I'm not concerned about breaking in. I'm more concerned about...
Come on in. I don't have a whole lot, dude.
Oh, I would like to keep my things be mine.
Yeah.
But,
I'm more concerned about my credit card getting compromised. Like, dude, that's my savings,
It's happened
bro.
to me before, dude.
Yeah.
I've had the first 2 weeks I moved to Florida, someone broke into my car.
Oh, shit.
Stupid of me. I had left my passport in there, and somebody just yoinked that. And I was like, nice. Now I have to deal with this. I'm like, that was just a nightmare of like still getting... I still haven't even gotten all of that stuff straightened out. It's just a pain in the butt. But no, I think what I'm not super concerned about being here and concerned about someone breaking in here. It would be nice to have that if that did happen.
What if you had a family? You would want to protect.
If I have a family, that's something I would want to protect them.
Yeah. And
also, like if I'm out and about and you have a mass shooter situation.
Yeah.
I never been in that situation, obviously.
No.
But
never want to be.
Don't want to be. But I would imagine that as a shooter, someone who has a weapon who's like, you don't
want to be a scared, useless person. You want to be the person that's like
also, I have to imagine that the person who's doing the shooting does not expect that. The whole purpose, think about all the places where it happens. It's places where there's no way anybody has any way to defend themselves. So you probably wouldn't even have to I guess I'm very much fantasizing. Well, not fantasizing, but
we're playing this
out now. Yeah. But imagine a shooter who's like, all right, I'm in a place where no one has any guns, and I'm gonna unload on all these people, and you immediately get shot back at. You're like, oh shit! Now, all of a sudden, all this thoughts of oh, I'm gonna kill these people and kill myself. You're like, oh shit, I don't want to die.
Yeah,
I don't want to get shot.
Yeah.
So it's if nothing else, it's a very, very good deterrent.
Do you think that perhaps ignorance is bliss here, but I don't want to even think like that. Because the statistics of me getting
it's super low.
It's so low that I don't want to think about it. Yeah. And I got more shit I'd rather think about. I'd rather think about.
Yeah.
I just
so you could.
And if I'm carrying, then I'm always thinking that, right? If that's how I
feel like at a certain point you wouldn't think about it.
You just prepared for it.
You would just. It would be the same thing as carrying a pin. If you're going into a place,
I think it would make you chilled out. If you're constantly carrying,
you're just
you're the most relaxed person ever because no one's gonna fuck with me.
He's like, no one's gonna fuck with me, and it. Granted, I know our concealed laws here in Florida are a little weird, a little wonky, but
they're crazy.
They're nuts. But if people know that you're carrying, that is another whole nother thing. It's just
all of a sudden, oh, sorry.
All right, sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That
being said, I everyone should, if you want to get a gun, I think you should be able to get a gun. I mean, it gets weird when you're in a big city or whatever, because we can't have people, dude, those people that I cringe so hard when I see those people walking around with ARs on the back. It's what are we doing?
What are you?
Get out of here.
I hate when people do that because it's
it's so virtue signaling on the opposite side.
It's exactly that. I never even thought of it like that. That's exactly
what it is. Look what I'm doing. It's dude, what?
It's we get it. That's the whole.
You live in America, not Iraq.
You walk around with a fucking AK.
Who are you killing?
I think
it's my right.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, but this isn't about.
It is.
We've left the conversation of this is your right. Now you're just being annoying.
Yeah.
It's your right to put balls on your truck too, but you shouldn't do that. I mean, it's so.
I've known a couple people with those.
Oh my God, God bless them.
Always
what are you supposed to?
It's never good. My favorites are the ones that have the. I forget what it is. It's a different type of metal on the bottom of them because they're meant to drag on the asphalt and spark. I'm just you're a terrible person.
Yeah.
And
no, you're awful.
And you shouldn't procreate.
Yeah. No, I would just have come here. I need to tell you something. We're gonna have a quiet word. You're my friend, and I care about you. And you just
As you're saying that, you're taking it off.
Yeah. We're just gonna remove this, and it's because I want to get you laid, dude. Yeah.
Oh man, I don't know how much time you have. It's.
I'm good to go. Yeah. Okay. We got more topics. Yeah.
I have one thing I would like to talk about. Do you have any opinions on this whole like metoo kind of thing that's going on.
Oh,
I'd like to hear those from you.
Yeah. Do you see the Dave Chappelle?
Yep. His special?
Yeah. Is he the one where he said, I think we got them all? Or is that Bill Burr?
Bill
Burr?
Yeah,
okay,
Bill.
all right. I confused
like, I think we got them all.
I think we got them all.
God.
Hopefully I'm not like ruining it for anybody, but like, that was just I'm capturing the thought.
You need the context of that line for it to be really funny. So.
I'll tell you what though, I get nervous making jokes in the workplace with female coworkers, and not that I'm a particularly dirty person or anything like but it's always in the back of my mind. So just personally, like, okay, we better like lay off that. But obviously women getting sexually harassed is no bueno.
No one
likes that. Yeah. You shouldn't. I mean, it's crazy.
There's no dude I won't say no, but you're gonna have a hard time finding a dude that's like, yeah, that's okay with me.
Yeah, like, no, and I think men enforce that among each other too. Because if there is a woman that's getting harassed, like some dude will step in and go, hey, knock it off. Like you don't do that. Like and that's. Some people might, you're white knighting or whatever. Okay, let's eliminate the internet phrase from, because we're talking about real life here.
Actual like instances of this stuff.
We're talking about poorly made jokes that the female employee feels that she doesn't want those to be happening, and obviously everything beyond that, beyond just jokes, or it's actually like getting touched or getting like knock that shit off.
I think those two things in my head are extremely different, like jokes versus like physical, like like so the way I'm continue your thought.
I'm just thinking through this that you jump in any time.
I don't want to cut your thought off. I'm sorry.
Has it gone too far? And the defense, if I make the statement, it's Me Too's gone too far. The defense is, how dare you say that? First of all, as a guy, and second of all, you're not listening to women, and third of all, look at all these women that have been. It's like, well, they're right, because you can't say, oh, enough's enough, you guys have gone too far, because we're not being exact in our speech. So if a person on Twitter who's being ridiculous, like a woman who's being ridiculous on Twitter, making ridiculous claims, I think it's okay for me to say, okay, you're being ridiculous. Like you in this statement in a vacuum.
In this one thing is too far.
Do you even work with men? Like how? Like what? Like we got to be reasonable here. Like you're being silly.
Yeah.
Okay, and I could say that, and we could talk about it, and we can have argument, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm not the one, and I'd love to have that open discussion. But overall, as a whole, I think it's a good thing. I hate that it's necessary, but
I don't think anyone likes that it was a thing.
No, but I also don't think it applies to most guys. So we get this confusion of all men. It's like, no, it's not all men. It's a few ratty ones, and we largely took care of it before this whole movement. After this movement, we found out that there were a couple big figures that, and I'm glad that we live in a society where those people are being taken out. I mean, you have the fall of like Bill Cosby is like the worst one, where it's like, oh, that sucks. That, like, I mean, America's Dad is now like, that sucks so much, but it's like, but you know, that gets into, everybody was doing that in the 70s. Not everybody, but like if you were a prominent figure,
it was a common thing. That's wild to think that was that common back then. But
it also was normal in the 50s and 60s to grab the assistant's ass as you're walking. It's like, we're learning, we're growing, and it's better now that females take up a large percent of the much larger percent of the workplace, and cut that shit out. Like, I should be able to show up and not feel harassed. It's like that's right. You shouldn't. And those are my thoughts.
Yeah, no. My fear, I guess, is you as a female, you have a right to not. It's not really a right. It's just, you should be able to come to the place of business and not have to worry about that.
Yeah, it's bullshit if you do.
On the other side of that, as a guy, I should also have the right to come to a place of business and not be scared shitless that something that I had no intention.
Do you feel that way?
Sometimes.
I do.
There are moments.
I do.
It's like, there are moments where it's just like, I know with a shadow of a doubt, I have no intention of like trying to make anyone feel uncomfortable
Yes.
or like shitting on like some girl. That's not.
You're a good guy and you want to be a good guy.
Yeah, like you just, and even now, like saying that, oh, I'm a good guy is met with so much like,
no, well,
it's
you are trying to be pro female, pro woman. You're trying to be pro.
I'm trying to make it so that everyone who is around me is not negatively affected by my being there. And ideally,
sure.
it would be positively effective. Like that would be nice. But I'm not going to be a positive influence for everyone. That's not possible. But I don't
have to be. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you. I don't think
that's
it's
a high
possible.
standard.
But I do think that you can be neutral at best. Like you can. I've had many interactions with people where I'm just like, all right, that was just an interaction. There's no like afterthought about it. I know I'm not thinking about it. I'm sure it's possible that they could be, but I doubt it. Like again, like I was saying earlier, they're the main character in their story. Like
Sure.
they probably will forget about whatever interaction we had.
Yeah.
But it's stifling, I think. It's also,
You think it's caused negative? It's to the point where it's a little bit more negative than positive.
I don't know whether it's more negative than positive. I just know that I've seen
it's
both
definitely
the
outrage.
positive and negative.
It's kind of like the Trump thing where people are still crazy about Trump. It's like, wait, hold on. He's been president for like 3 years and the world's not over. Like you can't get crazy about him.
Yeah.
We got and so the Me Too thing, I think there's an element of that where there's some crazy females out there that are like taking this way too far. And you feel that even just that being out there is affecting like the way you show up to workplace. And
it is. I haven't been on a lot of dates after the last girl that I dated, but
how long ago was that?
Oh, fuck, man. The last girl that I had a long, decent relationship with, like 5 years ago. I've gone on dates between then.
I'm gonna find you someone.
I'm gonna find you someone.
Yeah.
But like I've been on like a decent.
When you're dating someone, you find all these like nice single girls. And you're like, oh man, I'm with someone, but we're That's like my little project of like.
I noticed that's you and Corey.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
It's just like I got you one.
Yeah. Like I'm taken, so it's like all right, I gotta have this still. I gotta have the chase. Still, and it's fun. It's like this, but it's not for me. Yeah. Like I like that.
That's funny.
I like that. Like I'll get a girl's number and be like, at the very end, I'm like I got a guy for you.
Yeah.
Like, I tell this to Joe. I'm very open. I tell this to my girlfriend.
Yeah.
So,
but my thing is like in those interactions with them, it's been very. One of the best things that I think you can have when you're having you're on a date with somebody is being able to just talk about anything, like to a degree, obviously, but like having an open conversation with somebody, it's really hard now. Like people are so like, and I've noticed it in like my guy friends too. Like they're so just like, I'm not touching anything.
Barriers.
I'm not like, it's just it's everyone is so like on the fence about. It's fucking bug.
I think it's lack of trust.
Yeah, and it's easy to make. It's easy to see how people got there. Like you can watch like you can think back on like the last 5 years of like the stuff that's been in the news and what we've decided is newsworthy, and you've seen like how that sexual harassment, like all of that stuff has been like not a decline. It's been on the increase, and regardless of whether or not it's happening more, it's been shown more.
Yeah.
So I get why somebody would think that way. It's just, it sucks. It's like, it's almost like you're, imagine going on a date.
It's supposed to be positive, and it's having all these negative effects.
Yeah. And I'm sure it's having some like very positive effects too that I'm not seeing, mostly because I'm just a dude.
I think white people felt like that about Black Lives Matter. There's a lot of white people out there who were like, why am I supposed to be like made to feel like a bad person when I'm not racist and Black Lives Matter and so all lives matter? It's like I feel like you're missing the point or whatever. No, I'm not saying that with you and the Me Too, but it's like I can think there's something like that.
Yeah, my whole thing with the Black Lives Matter thing was
that's a whole nother.
I get their initial message. I get what their initial thing was, but similar to like the Me Too thing, it at a certain point you put this thought out there and then somebody else took it and then like is going in a different direction.
We got to be
with it.
fact based.
Yeah.
I mean, we've lost that.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, with getting that the president we currently have elected, we've lost like fact based discussion. But the good part is we're having like at least I feel like this, a renaissance of fact based discussion. People are like you and me are just tired of what nonsense are you saying now? Like, no, let's actually like let's be real with each other. I don't care if you're gay, straight, trans, but let's be straight. Let's be or not straight. Let's be factual in our discussion. Let's stick with it and not do it on. I think the
feelings. The trap that some people get into is they hear factual and then they don't. And I've done this too. I've done this a lot where you think, oh, I'm just going to be like, this is how this is. This is how this is. But you've somewhere along the line, you also say, in being factual, I will also get rid of emotional. Emotions are facts too. Like you just they're way more flimsy than like what's the word the type of fact that is just like the fact that the sky is blue or like objective yeah like they're way more
because it's true. If someone feels if I say something that makes you feel bad, that's a fact that made you feel bad.
I do feel bad. Like if the person genuinely feels bad, then yes, they do feel bad. It is a fact. But it's the problem that I have with that is where it goes from like you said something that made me feel bad to you said something that made me feel bad and you meant to do that. Like that is where I feel like the stretch happens, especially with the Me Too thing, is where it's like, yeah, there's some stuff that's gone on that have been really bad, but like that whole you've seen that Gillette commercial, right? At some point,
the Gillette commercial, yes, yeah.
Like there's a lot of stuff in there that I was just like, yeah, that's okay. That's not a good thing. Like no one should do that.
No one should do that. I'm with you.
But then there's things like the guy that was like standing outside that shop and the girl's walking by and he's going to go talk to her. Doesn't say anything yet. And then the guy stops him and I'm just like, okay, that's not something that's bad. Like that's just a guy who's going to go talk to someone. Like,
I think, you know what I think it is? I think there's something to be said about, if I got a group of friends, we've established what's cool and what's not cool. And we all help each other out with it. If I say a comment, it's like someone around me, hey, that's not cool. Or someone else does, and I go, hey, that's not how we think here. And it's a little bit of culture or culturally reinforced. And that's why it matters like where you grew up in your family and your, and then you do that with a whole new group, like work group or new group of friends. And it's just, 5-10 people. That's manageable. We could do it.
Yeah.
We're doing this thing on and so we're not all speaking the same language. Like when people are tweeting at each other or people are making like podcasts, like you're not speaking to the other person. And we got to find this level of how can we have a normal, reasonable discussion without getting our emotions like way up high, because nothing gets done. We're just shouting at each other.
I think the rule that I'm trying my best to like embody, assume that the person is not intending on offending you. Just start there. Like,
but other people aren't going to grant that to you, but that's okay.
That's okay. But the thing is, I'd like to, even if you're upset, I'd like to still be able to have a conversation where we can get to the understanding that, all right, I'm sorry I made you upset, but understand that I didn't start off this conversation or whatever I was saying with the goal of making sure that you got upset. That's not why I'm talking about. That's not why I said it.
And I never feel that way. Yeah, with anybody.
Like no one does that. Like that's not a thing.
You're assigning evil intentions that I do not own.
It's like we're all just doing our thing.
Yeah.
And it just so happened that at this very specific thing you don't like, and that's fine. Like it's okay that you don't like it. I'm not as long as I'm not harming anyone. Like you're not physically harming anyone. The reason I'm harping on this is where you're talking about like making like jokes and stuff like at work and stuff. It's like my intention of the joke is to be funny.
Yeah, it's actually to make everyone more comfortable.
Yes, it's I'm trying to make people laugh. That's it. There's no other motive. Like I'm not trying to like
trying to make the day go by. Dude.
Yeah,
we're all here.
We got like 3 hours left, man. Like I'm just trying to make people laugh. Like it's just that. I every time I'm at work and people will talk about like some semi taboo stuff, and especially when I first started working there, they would be like, "Oh, well, Joe's never said anything." Like I was like, you should look at my old podcasts. Like we did everything.
I go there, dude.
Oh yeah, like it's like it. And I think I don't do it as much now and I kind of feel bad about it. Like,
so I would be much more say what's on my mind and make any type of joke if it didn't have a reputational cost that associated with it.
Yeah.
But we have to live in society where like what we're doing right now could affect a job we get 30 years from now or 20 years from now or whatever. And it's like, but I think overall it's a good thing because it helps each of us. It's kind of like a good and bad thing. Like you have to adapt more to what the cultural norms are. Yeah. You can't just live outside of culture. I mean, you can, but you're not going to get anything done in today's day and age because everything's tweeting, everything's out there. So overall, it's a good thing. And that's not to say like individuals have like messed up thoughts or whatever, but it's like we all have to check each other constantly. And there's some annoying growing pains that we have to have. Like, for example, you better be either cool with gay marriage now or you better not care about it.
Yeah. Like,
and that's just, you can't be anti-gay marriage. Like, it doesn't matter what you think about it. You better be not, you better not care.
It's a thing now. Like, regardless of whether or not you care about it or not. That being said,
and
though,
I think society overall is going right. I like where we're going. It's helped me grow. Like, I just, dude, you know how much shit I would be behind on if I carried my, like, what I thought, my thoughts when I was like 13, 14, 15, and I just had no interaction. No, I got corrected. Like, it's almost like your parents teach you how to like, don't do that. Be polite, do this. It's like society's kind of teaching us that now. And then you have to know the rules before you break the rules because you got to break some certain rules. Like things that we've said here break some of the rules of society. Like you're not supposed to, but that's what makes it interesting is that we kind of know what and then we go the opposite direction.
The other thing is like, I need to be allowed to break those rules so that you can learn.
Sure.
Because
but forgiveness and mercy, like you shouldn't be canceled. You should be, I'm trying to figure this out. That's what jokes are. You're throwing it out there and then people laugh and they accept you. Or
they don't. And it could just be like, it wasn't a funny joke, but it was still made, it was still intended on being a joke.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I think that is like the thing that should be most protected is that because you lose that, dude, we can't lose that, it's gonna be fucked.
I don't think we ever lose that. I think American culture is so pro freedom of speech that you should be able to come to this country and it's the American dream. You should be able to do it. Like you can make it big. You can start a company and we try to. So you can work, you can prosper here. That's the idea. And then you can have freedom of speech. The government's not going to tell you that you can't, and you're not going to get sent to jail and executed and whatever. I mean, like, I know, but that's what it's egregious when it does happen, like with certain things. But I don't think we'll ever lose that because our culture, and I didn't do it and you didn't do it, but our, people, I think we were established on those ideas, and I think those are very core. And I don't think we're losing that anytime soon.
I really,
we're
like I hope so. I see things that like would make me think otherwise, regardless of like, and it's granted it's things I'm seeing online. It's not like it's mostly that. Like it's very rare that like I have any issues with, especially in the realm of like comedy, like in real life.
Dude, I'm so happy that Dave Chappelle was able to put out a special like that. Dude, it was. I'm sorry. Did you say you saw it or
no? Yeah, I saw it.
Good. Oh my God.
I love it. Somebody what was it pitching it? I think it was Sam who was pitching this idea.
This is Sticks and Stones, by the way.
Yes, Sticks and Stones.
That one. So yeah.
I think he was like, why doesn't he make a show similar to the Chappelle show?
Yeah.
But do it on Netflix, where he's a lot more open to do whatever he wants to do. And I was thinking, I don't think even Netflix would greenlight that.
Yeah, I'm surprised that he was able to say this stuff. But I'm so glad that we have someone saying just truly what's on his mind. And I love his attitude of just, he's such a rebel. Just, I don't give a fuck. Like,
and the thing is, I don't think it's a rebellious thing. I think it's just like, here's what I'm seeing. Here's what I think of what I'm seeing in a humorous way. Simple. Like, it's just that.
Why are people so mad?
Because they forgot that last thing I said. They're like, here's what he's seeing. Here's what I think about what I'm seeing.
Yeah, you're forgetting.
But they forget the humorous part. They think he's up there doing a TED Talk, and it's just like it's not it. Like, that's not what's happening. What
aren't you getting about this? We've had comedy forever. I mean, like, what are you not getting that it's a joke? Like, it's
the ability to be with a group of people that you think exactly the same way you do being online. Like, because you can have one dude who's like, that's crazy that he would say that. He's obviously homophobic. He's obviously transphobic. Brr, brr, brr. And that's how he thinks. And when he posts that online, somebody else is like, well, he might not be. But because of what he said, because of how they replied to that dude, the first dude thinks, that second guy thinks exactly the way he does. And he's like, oh, there's more people like me. And it's like, that's probably not the case, man. Like, it's probably that. Yeah,
but how many podcasts have you and I listened to where they're talking about the exact same thing that you and I are talking about? And that's it. You're either going to convince those people online or you're not. And I think their fair amount have been convinced because they listen to a various amount of podcasts and they go, oh, I kind of do that. I'll stop doing that. And then they grow up. But then you got a bunch of other 16, 17, 18-year-old kids grow up right now that are making the same mistakes. And I just think I think what happens online is just not reflective of the culture that happens in society when we're just out in the working world.
I would agree. That's something largely, that like that's a lesson I've learned somewhat recently.
Reason will win out, I think, because it's like everyone was all up in arms about like, oh, Trump got elected and this is like horrible. It's like, no, we have so many smart people in this country that I think we're gonna be okay.
Yeah,
I think
people that
so.
were like, I'm going to Canada. I'm just like, part of me was like, yep, you do that. You're stupid. Like I don't want you here. If you think that him getting elected
that's all it took
is going to cause, like, sure, by all means, go ahead.
Yeah.
But like, it's just like it's. I think Bill Burr actually had a thing where he was like, "You're going to be fine.
You're going to be okay."
He's like, did Obama call you? And like, it's like, no, you woke up, you put your fucking pants on, like you did. Like, it's that's my sentiment. It's just like it'll be okay.
Yeah.
I think with that we should probably get out of here.
Yeah.
I think, how long have we been going, Kim? Jesus,
that's pretty good.
I think you're the record. You're a record.
Oh, nice.
Record winner.
Nice.
Michael, thanks, dude. I hope we get a chance to do this again.
Yeah,
this is a
fun.
lot of fun.
This is fun.
I think the next one that I have you on, I've been wanting to like get this set up so that we can have more people talking instead of just two people.
Yeah. Do you think it was structured and you can get comments on this or whatever?
Oh, sure. I'm sure people will. Part of me doesn't. I don't know which way I want to lean with it. Do I want to make it more structured, or do I want it to be more of just a conversation?
You should do whatever you want.
That's
whatever you want.
I'm debating that, like in my head. I could do that. Like,
you own it, dude. And people are gonna come to you because they like you, not hopefully, because of what you provide necessarily. It's got to be because you're talking for 3 hours. Nobody's gonna listen to the topic because we're not experts on. But they want to hear what Joe has to say and people you consider to be interesting to come on. So that's
I hope so. I hope that, if nothing else, I hope that like me learning from the people that I have on, and just like having fun with them, is entertaining, or possibly educational. Like getting something from it. I like hopefully people are getting something from it.
If not, I did.
Yeah,
like I mean,
I'm glad to hear it. Like that's the one thing that like I hope like hopefully people get out of this. Like, get something.
Yeah.
I did do some thinking though the other day when we were talking about like, you're like, what niche am I gonna like really?
How are you gonna create value?
How am I gonna create? And
what are you gonna do differently?
I thought about that for a lot, and I guess I can talk more about that off camera. But
sure, yeah.
When I first was talking to you about it initially, I had that in my head. I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this. And the more I've thought about it, the more research I've done.
Well, you're gonna have a gaming politics podcast.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of intersection, but there's a lot of people doing that.
Right.
That'd be my fear.
And you have a good point. The issue is I haven't found a solution to that problem yet.
Keep doing it.
Yeah, that's where I'm at right now. I'm just kind of like, we'll keep making stuff.
I think people will find this fun.
Hopefully. Maybe I'm too what's the like self-deprecating.
Well, you're in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Like, so you're not the judge of it. Yeah, like you shouldn't be.
I guess
like,
that's fair.
Yeah, give the people what they want and read it, and you'll be good.
Cool.
All right.
Thanks, man.
Yeah,
I appreciate it. I'm gonna give you a big across the desk handshake here. I guess that'll call it. I will see you guys next Wednesday. Yeah. And if you didn't know, these go up every Wednesday. So tune in next Wednesday. I actually have a really cool guest coming out next time. It's going to be also very different from the first 3. I hope that people get what I'm going for here, where it's not just always games, even though I'm streaming like Call of Duty every night. Yeah. Like that, I enjoy doing that, but I also like this.
Yeah.
So
yeah, absolutely.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you, Joe, for having me. Yeah.
Appreciate it.